Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will proceed to the opening ceremony shortly. Before conducting the open formalities, I would like to briefly inform everyone about our today's agenda. The opening session will be started at 9 a.m. with a welcome remark from Associate Professor Dr. Prawit Erawan, Secretary General of the Office of the Teacher, Civil Service and Educational Personnel Commission, Ministry of Education of Thailand, followed by the opening statement. And today we have an honor to have a presence of His Excellency Police General Phumphun Chitchop, Education Minister of Thailand, to preside over the opening ceremony. After the opening ceremony, we will proceed with a keynote address on the power of collective leadership in overcoming education challenges and uncertainties, delivered by Professor Ling Wendy from Tamkang University of Taiwan. And next, a research report on bridging students' assessment and educator performance, authentic tools for developing future skills in teachers and school leaders will be presented by Dr. Nanthaporn Seributra, President and CEO of Starfish Education. And there will be a session break at 10:30. The refreshment will be served at the foyer in front of the ballroom. And after the break, we will proceed to a panel discussion on collective leadership, the key to success in future schooling. And after that will be lunch at 12:30 in the ballroom next door. And for the afternoon session, we will continue with a presentation on the roles of collective leadership in supporting education reformation for the 21st century education, presented by our invited presenters from national, regional, and international sectors. And last one will be wrap up and closing ceremony by Associate Professor Prawit Erawan, OTEPC Secretary General, at approximately 4:30 in the afternoon. We will wait shortly, we will start shortly, and please check whether you have already learned our guideline. Also, we have provided the materials and documents attached to the QR code on your name badge. Please wait for a while, we start shortly. Good morning once again. Before the arrival of the Minister of Education of Thailand, I would like to once again inform our agenda for today. We'll start with the welcome remark from Associate Professor Pravit Erawan, Secretary General of the OTEPC, followed by the opening statement of His Excellency Police General Phumphun Chitchop. And after the opening ceremony will be a keynote address on the power collective leadership in overcoming educational challenges and uncertainty delivered by Dr. Ling Wendy from Tamkang University. And the next will be the research report on bridging student assessment and educator performance, authentic tools for developing future skills in teachers and school leaders will be presented by Dr. Nanthaporn, Seributra, the President and the CEO of Starfish Education. And later on will be the session break at 10:30. The refreshment will be served at the foyer in front of the ballroom. And after the break will be the panel discussion. And today we have an honor to have our 4 panelists from international sectors and our honorable moderator. They will be discussed on the collective leadership, the key to success in future schooling. And lunch will be served at 12:30 in the ballroom next door. For the afternoon session, we will proceed with the presentation on the roles of collective leadership in supporting educational reformation for the 21st century education, presented by our presenters from national and global sectors. And the last will be the wrap-up and the closing ceremony by Associate Professor Dr. Pravit Erawan. I would like to also inform our on-site participants that we will provide an e-certificate of your participation to this forum, and the detailed and QR code will be informed after the closing ceremony. So please stay tuned with us until the end of the session. we are going to start our opening ceremony. And before our today's event, I would like to announce the significant upcoming event. The Ministry of Education of Thailand has been given an honor to be the host for the 13th ASEAN Education Minister meeting and related meetings organized during 23rd to 26 August 2024 in Buriram, Thailand. This meeting will mobilize education ministers, high officials, education leaders, and education networks towards strengthening cooperation among ASEAN member countries and other partners under the theme Transforming Education in the Digital Era. And let's spend a few minutes to learn more about the 13th ASEAN Education Minister meeting from our video presentation. Please have a look.
ไทยเตรียมเป็นเจ้าภาพจัดการประชุมรัฐมนตรีด้านการศึกษาอาเซียนครั้งที่ 13 และการประชุมที่เกี่ยวข้องระหว่างวันที่ 23-26 สิงหาคม 2567 ณ จังหวัดบุรีรัมย์ภายใต้หัวข้อพลิกโฉมการศึกษาสู่ยุคดิจิทัลเชิญชวนชาวไทยทุกคนร่วมเป็นเจ้าภาพที่ดีต้อนรับผู้เข้าร่วมประชุม ASEC 2024 พร้อมแสดงให้เห็นถึงศักยภาพความพร้อมของไทยในเวทีนานาชาติครั้งนี้ร่วมภูมิใจไปด้วยกัน
We are ready to host the 13th ASEAN Education Ministers meeting and related meetings from August 23rd to 26, 2024 in Buriram Province to discuss policy on education management, transforming education in the digital era, enhancing the potential and quality of life of educational personnel to develop and propel Thai youth to drive Thailand further than ever before.
Thank you very much, our technical team, for the video presentation. In this regard, we, as a part of the Ministry of Education, would like to promote the upcoming event and express our great gratitude as a host country in welcoming delegations and honorable guests to Thailand. So let's proceed to the opening ceremony. Excellency, distinguished speakers, scholars, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say a very good morning. Swadikap. I am Nanthaporn Kantawichai, a legal officer from the Office of the Private Education Commission, Ministry of Education of Thailand. It is my privilege to be your host for today's opening ceremony. Also, please allow me to say hello and acknowledge to our participants who are virtually attending our online platform via YouTube and Facebook in several channels, including OTEPC officials, Starfish Labs, and AL TV. Welcome everyone to the International Forum on Teaching Profession Development 2024 on Collective Leadership, the Key to Success in Future Schooling, organized by the Office of the Teacher, Civil Service and Educational Personnel Commission, Ministry of Education of Thailand, or OTEPC, with a great support from our partners, Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn Award Foundation, Starfish Education, and AL TV. And once again, welcome to Bangkok, Thailand, where our forum has taken place. This forum brings lots of experts, specialists, educators, scholars, school principals and teachers who have been insightfully experienced in successful education development from both national and international sectors. This year's forum will introduce the best practices and successful application of collective leadership in schools, facilitate the implementation of the concepts in schools, provide effective tools for future schooling through collective leadership concepts, including collaboration across the overseas educational networks, and inspire Thai teachers and educational personnel to develop teaching methods using the collective leaderships. Prior to the beginning of the opening ceremony, we would like to recall the achievement of the organization of the 2023 Forum. Continuing this year's forum, we are delighted to present a brief video presentation of the OTEPC International Forum 2024 background. Please enjoy.
Education is a matter of global importance as it is a fundamental tool that helps equip children and youth with the skills and readiness needed for life. This preparation significantly contributes to the development of individuals, society, and the nation. As the world changes rapidly, the educational system must evolve accordingly. The pressing challenge, therefore, is how to enhance the quality of education to ensure that it delivers sustainable learning outcomes for students. Under the leadership of Police General Burnside, the Minister of Education has prioritized policies aimed at improving the quality of teaching and the management of educational institutions. This policy underpins the rationale for the International Conference on Teacher Professional Development organized by the Office of the Teacher Civil Service and Educational Personnel Commission. The conference introduced the concept of collective leadership from the perspective of international educational experts and scholars to highlight its importance and relevance in the management and development of quality educational institutions today. Successful development requires the capabilities, skills, and experience of leaders from various sectors. A crucial starting point is the collaboration among school administrators, teachers, and all stakeholders involved in all dimensions of education. They must work together to enhance educational quality, emphasizing collaborative decision-making and problem-solving. Collective leadership is, therefore, a critical factor and a key to the successful management of future schooling. Today, we are ready to open new perspectives, inspire and energize everyone to perceive a diverse range of experiences. We aim to utilize this knowledge to foster cooperation in educational development and create a sustainable learning society for the future.
Thank you very much, CT team, for a video presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Dr. Prawit Erawan, Secretary General of the Office of the Teacher, Civil Service and Education and Personnel Commission, Ministry of Education of Thailand, for his warm welcome address.
กับเรียนท่านรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงศึกษาธิการท่านพลตำรวจเอกเพิ่มพูนชิดชอบ Good morning to the distinguished international guests from Professor Wendy from Taiwan, Professor Bryant from Australia, Professor Haiyan from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, Professor Scott Haines from New Zealand, and Professor Ratnawati from Brunei, Professor Maitri from Konkan University, and Kun Kru or teacher from Laos, and Professor Saifunishan says Ismail from Malaysia. แล้วก็ขอต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับที่เป็นท่านผู้บริหารแล้วก็คุณครูที่เข้าร่วมการประชุมครั้งนี้นะครับในการประชุมครั้งนี้เป็นการประชุมวิชาการนานาชาติว่าด้วยการพัฒนาครูประจำปี2567ซึ่งสำนักงานก.ค.ศ. ได้จัดต่อเนื่องมานะครับเป็นปีที่2แล้วกับผมเองในนามของสำนักงานเลขาธิการสำนักงานก.ค.ศ. นะครับรู้สึกเป็นเกียรติแล้วก็ยินดีต้อนรับทุกท่านนะครับซึ่งในการประชุมในวันนี้ก็จะเป็นการพูดคุยถึง ประเด็นสำคัญที่จะมีส่วนร่วมในการยกระดับการศึกษานะครับทั้งคุณภาพครูและก็คุณภาพผู้เรียนซึ่งเป็นเรื่องที่มีความสำคัญและมีความซับซ้อนในประเด็นที่เกี่ยวข้องกับภูมิทัศน์ด้านการศึกษาในปัจจุบันนะครับโดยเฉพาะแนวคิดเรื่องภาวะผู้นำร่วมที่เปิดโอกาสให้ผู้ที่มีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องกับการศึกษาทั้งหลายนะครับเข้ามามีส่วนร่วมแล้วก็เป็นประเด็นที่ให้ความสำคัญและก็มีความสนใจในระดับนานาชาติในปัจจุบันนะครับซึ่งทำงานก.ค.ศ.เองนะครับเราก็ได้นำแนวคิดเรื่อง collective leadership เนี่ยนะครับมาใช้ในกระบวนการบริหารจัดการบุคลากรของเรารวมไปถึงการพัฒนาหลักเกณฑ์วิธีการประเมินต่างๆนะครับเพื่อให้มันเกิดความยืดหยุ่นคล่องตัวในการทำงานระหว่างผู้ปฏิบัติก็คือคุณครูที่อยู่หน้างานกับผู้ที่มีอำนาจในการตัดสินใจก็คือภาคนโยบายนะครับซึ่งก็จะเป็นการตอบโจทย์ต่อสภาพการจัดการศึกษาในปัจจุบันนะครับเหตุผลสำคัญที่เรายกประเด็นเรื่อง collective leadership ซึ่งเป็นธีมสำคัญในการประชุมสัมมนาในวันนี้ในปีนี้นะครับก็เนื่องจากว่าในกระบวนการภาวะผู้นำนั้นต้องเน้นภาวะผู้นำร่วมซึ่งก็จะมุ่งเน้นไปที่การนำความเชี่ยวชาญประสบการณ์ที่หลากหลายนะครับรวมทั้งแนวคิดต่างๆมาหลอมรวมเพื่อที่จะเป็นพลังในการจัดการศึกษาที่ตอบสนองต่อความต้องการของผู้เรียนที่มีความหลากหลายในยุคปัจจุบันด้วยนะครับการประชุมในวันนี้นะครับเรามีผู้เข้าร่วมที่เป็นไปด้วยผู้เชี่ยวชาญด้านการศึกษาผู้กำหนดนโยบายนักปฏิบัติที่เป็นเลิศนะครับมีศาสตราจารย์จากต่างประเทศมีคุณครูมีผู้บริหารจากหลายๆประเทศนะครับเข้าร่วมแล้วก็มีการสตรีมเพื่อที่จะถ่ายทอดสดไปนะครับทั้งในประเทศไทยแล้วก็ในระดับนานาชาตินะครับผมรู้สึกซาบซึ้งใจเป็นอย่างยิ่งนะครับที่ทุกท่านเข้ามามีส่วนร่วมในการประชุมครั้งนี้แล้วก็ขอให้นำเอาสิ่งที่เป็นแนวคิดที่ได้จากการประชุมครั้งนี้ที่เกิดจากการแลกเปลี่ยนกันนำไปสู่การปรับปรุงพัฒนาต่อไปนะครับ And once again I would like to thank you very much to the professor and the educator from international to join with us and to participate and sharing in this forum today. And once again, welcome to the International Forum on Teaching Profession Development 2024. Together, let us ignite to the frame of excellence in education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Pravit Erawan, for your warm welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we have the honor to have a presence of His Excellency Police General Phumphun Chitchop, Education Minister of Thailand, with us this morning. And this is an auspicious time that I would like to invite His Excellency Police General Phumphun Chitchop, Education Minister of Thailand, to address to the gathering. Please welcome.
ครับสวัสดีครับ Good morning ท่านผู้มีเกียรตินักวิชาการด้านการศึกษาผู้อำนวยการสถานศึกษาและคุณครูทุกท่านผมมีความยินดีเป็นอย่างยิ่งที่ได้มาเป็นประธานการประชุมนานาชาติว่าด้วยการพัฒนาวิชาชีพครูประจำปีพ.ศ. 2567ในวันนี้ซึ่งปีนี้หัวข้อหลักคือภาวะผู้นำร่วมกุญแจสู่ความสำเร็จในการจัดการเรียนรู้แห่งอนาคตซึ่งเป็นเรื่องที่มีความสำคัญยิ่งเนื่องจากในปัจจุบันเรากำลังเผชิญความท้าทายพร้อมกับโอกาสใหม่ๆในด้านการศึกษาที่กำลังจะเกิดขึ้นในอนาคตปัจจุบันโลกมีความผันผวนเปลี่ยนแปลงมีความก้าวหน้าด้วยเทคโนโลยีดิจิทัลการติดต่อสื่อสารมีการเชื่อมโยงกันอย่างรวดเร็วการมีผู้นำที่เข้มแข็งมีทัศนคติที่ดียืดหยุ่นสามารถปรับตัวได้เพื่อรองรับการเปลี่ยนแปลงจึงมีความสำคัญมากเป็นความท้าทายสำหรับอนาคตของการศึกษาผมเชื่อว่าปัจจัยความสำเร็จในการจัดการเรียนรู้มาจากความสามารถของพวกเราทุกคน ที่มีศักยภาพแตกต่างกันมีความมุ่งมั่นตั้งใจที่ทำงานร่วมกันภายใต้แนวทางจับมือไว้เราไปด้วยกันเป็นแรงบันดาลใจให้กันและกันสร้างวิสัยทัศน์ร่วมกันเพื่อนำไปสู่ความสำเร็จในการจัดการเรียนรู้แห่งอนาคตสำหรับประเทศไทยการบริหารจัดการการพัฒนาสถานศึกษาและคุณภาพผู้เรียนต้องอาศัยความรู้ความสามารถทักษะและประสบการณ์ของผู้นำจากหลายภาคส่วนทั้งผู้บริหารสถานศึกษาครูและผู้มีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องในการจัดการศึกษาในทุกมิติเพื่อการขับเคลื่อนการพัฒนาคุณภาพการศึกษาของผู้เรียนไปสู่เป้าหมายการศึกษาเพื่อความเป็นเลิศการศึกษาเพื่อความมั่นคงของชีวิตการประชุมครั้งนี้ได้ให้ความสำคัญกับการแลกเปลี่ยนประสบการณ์เกี่ยวกับแนวคิดภาวะผู้นำร่วมที่จะเป็นปัจจัยแห่งความสำเร็จในการจัดการเรียนรู้แห่งอนาคตเพื่อสร้างแรงบันดาลใจให้ผู้บริหารสถานศึกษาครูและผู้เกี่ยวข้องนำหลักการหรือแนวคิดภาวะผู้นำร่วมไปประยุกต์ใช้ในการจัดการเรียนรู้ในอนาคตได้อย่างดียิ่งผมขอขอบคุณทุกท่านที่ทำให้การประชุมนี้เกิดขึ้นได้และผมเชื่อมั่นว่าองค์ความรู้ข้อมูลและความร่วมมือที่เกิดขึ้นจากการประชุมนี้จะเป็นแนวทางให้กับทุกท่านในการร่วมกันกำหนดอนาคตการศึกษาที่มีคุณภาพบัดนี้ได้เวลาอันสมควรแล้วผมขอเปิดการประชุมนานาชาติว่าด้วยการพัฒนาวิชาชีพครูประจำปีพ.ศ. 2567ภาวะผู้นำร่วมกุญแจสู่ความสำเร็จในการจัดการเรียนรู้แห่งอนาคตณ บัดนี้ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your inspiring statement. May I request Your Excellency to remain on stage for a photo session, and I would like to invite our main standing guests, includes MOE executive, senior officials, and honorable guests. First, His Excellency Police General Pempun Chitchop, Associate Professor Dr. Prawit, Dr. Amonwan Wirathammo, Dr. Wichai Chitwiman, Dr. Benjalak, and Dr. Krishnapong Kakiratikon, Dr. Chanita Rakponmuang, Dr. Thirapat Kulopat. There will be two batches of our photo session. First, I would like to invite Dr. Qian, Haiyan, Professor Pan Ling, Wendy, Dr. Maitri Inprasit, Dr. Nanthaporn, Chanchalia Seribut, then Dr. Scott, Haines, Dr. Darren, Bryant for the first batch. Please welcome on the stage. Thank you very much, the first batch. And next, I would like to invite Mrs. Hajah, Ratnawati, Binti, Haji, Mrs. Kunvilai Ken Kirtisak, Ms. Ratana Lau, Mr. Supachok Payasan, and Mr. Saifuni Sanche Ismail for the next batch. May I request our main standing guests on the stage, Dr. Amonwan, Dr. Prawit, Dr. Wichai Chitwiman, Dr. Krishnapong, Dr. Chanita, and Dr. Thirapat to remain on stage. Thank you very much, His Excellency, and our honorable guests for memorable moments for photo session. So before we proceed to the next session, I would like to inform our on-site participants that we provide you the information regarding the upcoming session. If you're all looking for the electronic documents or necessary information, you can use your mobile phone or device to scan the QR code attached to your name badge. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since the world is facing rapid changes and diversities obstructing us in many dimensions, including education development, challenges and uncertain factors have become urgent agenda to be resolved. And today, to understand the ideas and concepts of to the point where we can overcome these challenges and uncertainties, we are delighted to have our expert to share with us on the power of collective leadership in overcoming educational challenges and uncertainty. She is a distinguished professor in the Department of Education and Futures Design at Tamkang University of Taiwan and the former Dean of College of Education at Tamkang University. Her well-known research includes education leadership, education change, and education evaluation. Her extensive experience in serving ad hoc committees for Taiwan's MOE led to her nomination as the convener for the Strategic Alliance of High School Curriculum Implementation and chair of the MOE Cross-System Collaboration Committee. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Professor Pon Hui Ling Wendy from Tamkang University, Taiwan. Please welcome.
Good morning. It is my great honor and pleasure to be here to share what I think of collective leadership. I think it is the right moment to discuss this concept since we are in a rapidly changing world. Back to 20 years ago, can you imagine what kind of world we have today? Political conflicts, economic competition, climate change, AI, technological development, all of this have created new challenges for us, for we educators. So we cannot just rely on one single leader. We need to work together to lead the change. So, today, I'm going to introduce you first educational challenges and leadership models in educational sectors. Then focus on collective leadership, giving you two cases in Taiwan to show the power of collective leadership. Then let's move forward. Several years ago, Thomas Friedman published a really popular book entitled "Thank You for Being Late." He mentioned that we are in an era of accelerations. The digital world and the physical world are closely intertwined, linked together. And it appeared the globalization of market. Although the former president of the United States, Trump, against globalization, but you can see that there is a new form of globalization. The mother nature was damaged. All of this indicate that we are in a different stage. We are in a new stage in the human history. According to the World Economic Forum, up to a quarter of jobs expected to change in the next 5 years. So there are 83 million jobs are going to be eliminated. there are 69 million new jobs to be created. In other words, there are 14 million jobs disappear. So we are facing different sources of challenges. In addition to the external environmental challenges I just mentioned, including political change, economic, societal, and the AI technological change, we also face the challenges internally, including educational marketization, which may cause the issues of social justice, inequality. We have a new test-based mode of accountability, create lots of pressure on the school leaders and the teachers. Also, underfunding is an issue. Teacher quality, we need more innovative teachers, and we need to have sufficient teacher force. Student discipline is another issue, etc. Additionally, we have a global standards and competition. Now, international assessment of student achievement really created the pressure internationally, so there are many countries is ongoing, embarking on different kinds of reform. And we have a new demands from different stakeholders. So, what are we going to do? We need to have a new competencies to be cultivated in the students. In addition to the traditional 3R, we need to have the 4 kinds of new competencies, including creativity, collaboration, communication, and the coding. In science and technology, we still need to have empathy. So Thomas Friedman created a new word, STEMpathy. OECD also proposed that the students need to have the global competencies. In 2030, their learning campus, they proposed transformative competence to be fostered in students, including to create new ideas, new values, new knowledge, new services, and reconcile tensions and dilemmas. In addition, students need to take responsibilities to improve the society. In order to achieve the goals, we need to transform our curriculum and the pedagogy. There are some countries have moved from content-based curriculum to a competence-based curriculum. So we will need the students to integrate their knowledge, their attitudes, their skills, which will enable them to accomplish the task in unclear, in ambiguous situations. Then we need to have a learner-centered pedagogical practices. Teachers are not only knowledge transmitters, they are facilitators. They need to provide scaffolding to provoke inquiry, to provoke student exploration, to advance their higher order thinking and deep learning. We also need to create learning communities to facilitate the students learn how to learn. So lifelong learner is a slogan, nowadays everywhere. Everybody say that we need to be a lifelong learner. Finally, students need to take the responsibility, work jointly to pursue the common good. So leadership plays a key role in advancing the students' competence. When we look back the development of leadership models in educational sectors, you can see it follows 2 threads. One is related to the paradigm of power. One is linkage with learning. So The power paradigms has shifted from power over to power with. Leadership does not only reside in the principles. You need to share power with the teachers. So nowadays, shared leadership, distributed leadership, teacher leadership, para-leadership, all these terms are related to collective leadership. In the thread of the linkage with learning, you can find that back to the school effectiveness movement in the United States. Principal instructional leadership is emphasized to improve student achievement. Later on, curriculum leadership is emphasized by the curriculum scholars. And in the 21st century, there is a new term, leadership for learning, or what we call learner-centered leadership. Leadership for learning, this term covers two concepts, right? One is leadership, one is learning. When we say that the leadership for learning is a new paradigm of leadership in the 21st century, we need to have a new paradigm of leadership and learning, which means that we will suggest a distributed form of leadership, collective leadership, and also learning should have its embedded philosophical foundation of constructivism. So let's make a comparison. Traditional leadership is vertical, is heroic, hierarchical. On the contrary, collective is dynamic, relational, emphasizing interactive inference process. When you look at the literature, you will find that there are different kinds of interpretations of collective leadership. So I can say that a collective leadership is an umbrella term, and they are related concepts such as relational leadership, relational social constructionist leadership, network leadership. All of these kinds of different forms of leadership emphasize the relational nature of leadership. There are three terms always tied together: collective leadership, shared leadership, distributed leadership. Some scholars make a distinction. However, these three terms are used interchangeably. So, some discourses focus on the person, focus on the leadership enacted by the individual. This approach I called the actor-centered approach. While some other discourses suggest that leadership emerges in the social relationships, in the system of relationships, in the interactive practices. This I called practice-centered approach. So the actor-centered approach suggests that there are multiple leaders. So we will look at what kind of leadership roles they take on, how they coordinate, how they collaborate to achieve the common goal. The outcome of the leadership would be to create a group or organizational context that make the members to share the responsibility. On the other hand, the practice-centered approach does not focus on the individual, does not focus on the persons. Instead, it suggests that leadership emerges in the social interactions. So we are looking at group leadership practices. The outcome of the leadership would be to create the capacity in the environment for people, for members to work collaboratively to produce the collective achievements. Therefore, I make a table to summarize the comparison between the actor-centered and the practice-centered approaches. So either way, you can use these two different kinds of approach to develop your collective leadership. Now I'm going to show you two cases in Taiwan. Learning community under leadership for learning, that's the case one. The case two is the MOE's cross-system collaboration for curriculum reform. I have deep involvement in these two cases, and I will use the perspectives I just mentioned earlier, actor-centered, the practice center, to do the analysis for you. So this is the case one. This is the project I conducted in the policy context of extending basic education from 9 years to 12 years. The schools are expected to prepare the students for the future society. Therefore, I think the school need to be transformed. I gather a group of people from the universities, from the school, some of them are expert principals, expert teachers, and we'll get together about 40 to 50 team members at the beginning. But after 3 years, it ended up around 100 team members in my project. So in this project, we are going to facilitate schools to transform, to trigger teacher change, to prompt student learning, and with ultimately goal to advance the student achievement. Leadership learning community under leadership for learning. Can you see they are two concepts combined here? I put learning community as an operational form to enact leadership for learning. We suppose that leadership for learning has its community orientation. It means that leadership is relational. Leadership is inactive. So teachers in diverse interaction, they can support, they can challenge each other. Agency can be developed in the interactive process. We also use distributed form of leadership as a perspective and constructivist learning as the foundation that we trigger teacher to change their teaching. So we emphasize learner-centered practices. Every member, every teacher have the power, but also take the responsibility to facilitate student learning. And we use the jazz as a metaphor instead of symphony, okay? Please be noted. We use jazz as a metaphor, as an image. What does it mean? In a jazz band, every performer could be the conductor. There is no specific conductor. Everyone could be the leader. So this is a really significant image that we transmit to all the teachers. That all the teachers can be a leader. You cannot say that, wow, leadership is nothing with me. That's your business. Leadership is related to you. So we have the vision of equality and quality. There are 3 key elements of learning community. Teachers always ask us, are we doing right? Are we doing the learning, implementing the learning community correctly in the classroom or in the teacher group? So we have developed 3 key concepts. inquiry, collaboration, and expression. Not only the students need to learn how to inquire, express themselves, how to collaborate with their peers, but also the teachers. The teachers need to learn together, need to work collaboratively. So this is our program's purposes: to establish schools as learning communities, foster teacher learning communities, and transform the classrooms into learning communities. In order to implement this project, you can see multiple actors, or you can say that multiple leaders in implementing this project. One side is the local government, another side is the university, and there are schools. So 3 kinds of leaders in implementing learning community. In this network structure, you can see that I set up a program office to link with the local government and the schools. And they are 5 cities and the counties work with us. And the school in these 5 cities and counties, they voluntarily join this program. And we encourage them, to have a change for their students. So for the governments as leaders, they provide policy support, either by creating the topics, advocating a specific educational philosophy, or creating dialogues among teachers, or giving financial support. And for the university, we facilitated schools to implement the learning communities. So we developed the indigenous implementation model and the strategies. Usually, policy implementers will research and develop the models, then implement the model, disseminate the models, but we did another way. We developed our model in practice, which enable us to integrate the theory and the practice. So the product, the model is the product. The product is the dynamic, dialectical development of theory and the practice. Okay, for the schools, the administrators in the school need to enact leadership for learning. They provide the support to the teachers, encourage the teachers to learn together, to work collaboratively in the teacher learning communities. Additionally, we encourage the teachers, the administrators need to encourage their teachers to transform their classroom, to create a learning community in the classroom. Students can help each other to facilitate their learning. Sometimes you will find it when teacher teach, instruct, you say, oh, this should be that blah, blah, blah. But the student cannot understand. But when you ask the students to teach his peers or her peers, well, that's easier for the student to understand. So we create student learning communities in the classrooms. In summary, co-learning, collective learning occurred among the students, among the teachers, also among the teachers and the students in the school learning community. If we narrow down the scope, we don't talk about the whole school, we talk about the teacher learning communities. You also observe collective leadership. Teachers conduct lesson study by 3 steps. They jointly plan the lesson plans, and they open their classroom, invite the peers coming in to observe their teaching. Then they discuss teaching, discuss what they have observed. So, the main focus of the observation is on how students learn, not on how teachers teach. That's important. When we implemented this project, teachers will resist, some other colleagues coming in to observe their teaching. That's quite pressure for them. They will resist. But if you say that, wow, your colleagues coming in, they bring their third pair of eyes to help you observe how your students learn, well, that decreases lots of pressure on the teachers. So after the 3 steps, okay, you may see the change in the teachers' attitudes and their willingness to collaborate with others. So multiple leaders can be found in the lesson study. They take turns, they rotate the leadership roles in the learning communities. And you also can find that leadership emerges in teacher interactions, right? Just I said that everyone could be the leader depending on the situation. So this is the first project I showed you, teachers working together, the whole school members working together to achieve the common goal, to building the school as the community, as the learning communities, to transform the classroom into the learning communities. And the second case I'm going to share with you is our Ministry of Education initiated the cross-system collaboration for curriculum reform. Since 2019, we have a new curriculum reform. There's a featured with competence-oriented curriculum. And that's really complicated because it involves 12 years, including primary school, lower secondary, higher secondary, right? So such a kind of large-scale reform usually require engagement from school, local government, and the central government. In addition, moreover, you can see that the curriculum reform involves different systems. You need to have a system to develop curriculum guidelines, right? You need to have a system to implement the curriculum. You need to have the quality teachers to implement curriculum. So that's the system of teacher training. Finally, the new curriculum needs to be aligned with the entrance examination to high school level. So this is the system of assessment. To ensure curriculum reform be successful, you need to coordinate. You need to have all the different systems work together. So that's the reason why there is MOE's cross-system collaboration. Cross-system collaboration is a form of collaborative governance. I introduced a new word. Collaborative governance is a new approach to public administration and management that's in contrast to bureaucratic model. So it means that it is a governing mechanism encompassing different kinds of cross-boundary collaboration, including collaboration among different public sectors, among different public agencies, or among the different levels of the government, or among the public, private, and the civil spheres. It's not so easy, right? In Ministry of Education, where usually in every country, that's bureaucratic. Every sector is just responsible for their own business. It's hard for them to cross the boundary. But if you don't cross the boundary, how can you coordinate? How can you collaborate to implement the curriculum reform successfully? So you can see, okay, the MOE set up the collaborative committee, and I was the convener of this committee. So what I'm introducing you is the recent stage of the collaboration, collaborative governance from 2020 to April 2024. So this is a platform to bridge. This is a platform, okay? The collaborative committee is a platform to promote cross-sector collaboration. So you can see there are different departments of the Ministry of Education. It collaborates with us. And they are different representatives from the Ministry of Education join the committee. So we have, officials from the Ministry of Education. We have researchers from the National Academy of Educational Research. We have scholars from the university. We have school principals and school teachers join the committee involved in the policy-making process. So you can see here the network structure. There is a collaborative unit, so-called project office, for the promoting of the new curriculum. And it is the collaborative unit responsible for all the administrative affairs to promote the collaboration across sectors. I have concluded after 4 years, there are 6 main leadership practices. So I will introduce you briefly because I have a limited of time. Okay, so I just say that the first one, designing inclusive structure arrangement to include different kinds of voices. I just explained to you the composition of the committee member, include different kinds of person get involved. And then there are operational structures are planned, including the working group, the joint committee meetings, or the circle task. There are different issue task circles. There are different kinds of form to build a channel to encourage all the participants to express their ideas. So the inclusive dialogue platform are provided. Lots of conversation, lots of discussion, lots of dialogue to exchange the ideas, to stimulate the ideas, to communicate the policy and disseminate the policy initiatives. The second one, to proceed the collaboration, we need to have a shared understanding. We need to have a shared vision. So we expect the committee function as a learning communities. All the participants in the committee can engage in mutual learning, and they are partners. They need to cross their boundary. And we believe that educational reform should not be fragmented. You need to apply system leadership to trigger the change at the system level. So when people were, sit down, you expected them together, it's not so easy, right? Because they may not know each other well. So we need to build relational trust. In addition, in the process, we fostered the spirit of a boundary crossing. Think of yourself, people sometimes just feel insecure to try something new, right? And people, when you dislike some, person, you just don't want to work with them. And you will insist some of your ideas. So how do you cross the boundary of intrapersonal barriers? That's really important. So step out your comfort zone, you need to be open-minded. And people are from different kinds of institutions. They have a different professional training. And sometimes, specifically, in the Ministry of Education, representatives are from different departments, so they are departmental divide. So all of these barriers need to be broken down. But, we are glad that after 4 years, actually, the collaboration lasted for 10 years. But in the final 4 years, we have seen the officials have changed. They would like to collaborate with their colleagues from other departments. They would like to coordinate with each other. Okay? So we're also promoting distributed leadership in the collaboration. We arrange the different kinds of leadership roles, okay, being the chairs of different meetings, and we have an open discussion. Everyone can have their discourse power to be revealed because they can have their professional influence exerted. And we also facilitate dynamic interplay of the policy, research, and practice. Since we have policymakers as the participants, we have academic people, and we have school practitioners. Finally, we also develop purpose-oriented social learning. In addition to the single loop, we have a double loop and a triple loop learning. In addition to identify the problems and developing the strategies, we also, jump out the current situation to think about something new. In order to improve the collaboration, we have redesigned the mechanism for the governance. So this is our output, after 4 years. Some of the action plan aim to improve the current state of curriculum implementation, and some of the action plan is to envision the future curriculum development. Have this kind of understanding. Let's move on. Let's apply the Shi philosophy to develop collective leadership. Shi, okay, some of you can understand the Chinese. Shi. So I am sharing with you a Chinese perspective. Shi, what is Shi? Well, sometimes you can say that it is a potential or position, situation, or condition. It is composed of people, structure, and the culture. So just apply the leadership philosophy of Shi. First of all, you need to judge what kind of situation you have, what kind of condition you have. If you don't have enough condition to develop collective leadership, then you need to create it. So in Chinese, there's a Shi, okay? When you have the enabling condition, then you can 顺势, just make good use of the situation. How do we create the enabling conditions? First of all, create a structural arrangements. As a school leader, as educational leader, no matter, what kind of object that you are facing, probably teachers or staff, you can offer different forms of collaboration. And you can arrange the time and space for teachers to work together. And teachers always in their own department. Or the Ministry of Education, the staff always stay in their department. So as an educational leader, you need to arrange cross-boundary activities to prompt them to work together across the sectors, across the departments. The second one, to develop people, okay? So in the beginning, I just said that, teacher always say that leadership, that's the business of the school leaders, the business of the principals, not my business. So all the school leaders, all the educational leaders need to advocate a new paradigm of leadership. Everyone can be the leader depending on the task and the situation. And you need to build teachers' professional capital. In addition, human capital, professional knowledge, skills. You need to help the teachers to have the social capital, relational interrelationships. And the most important one is the judgmental capacity, which is decisional capital. finally, you need to have the culture to collaborate, to lead collaboratively, so build the trusting relationships, to cultivate interdependent leadership culture, and build a strong sense of a community from I to we. That's really crucial to develop collective leadership. So once you have all the enabling conditions, you have the 是, just use the 是. The 是 is just like the momentum of a round rock rolling down from a high mountain. So just make a good use of 是, just make a good use of the situation. So let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ling Wendy, for your wonderful presentation and the keynote address introduced the concept apply in diverse contexts such as OECD, collective leadership to achieve the successful education result. The transformation of curriculum and pedagogy is realized as a part of key factors such as competence-based curriculum, learning community, cultivating social constructivism, and the common good of being citizens. In addition, she prioritized the collective leadership paradigm in education to create a personal and organizational aspects, an idea to create learning community for learners and teachers, in many cases in Taiwan, shown during her presentation to elaborate concrete examples. And I would like to highlight on her idea in applying a leadership philosophy to develop collective leadership called 虚, which means being not a static state, but dynamic one which opens up opportunities and new possibilities. Thank you very much, Dr. Wendy, for your wonderful presentation once again. And now we are going to reach another vital session where useful academic report will be shared and used as a reference for a further development. And our speaker today, she acquired her master's degree in early childhood studies from the University of Roehampton and her PhD in educational administration. She extended her post-PhD as an early childhood educator, school principal, and served in several impactful programs under Starfish Education, namely Starfish Academy, a professional learning platform, and skill development under Starfish Labs online platform. She is now a president and CEO of Starfish Education, our great partner for today's forum. And our speaker today is Dr. Nanthaporn Seributra. Allow me to invite Dr. Nanthaporn to deliver a research report on bridging student assessment and educator performance, authentic tools for developing skilled in teachers and school leaders. Please welcome on the stage, and over to you, Dr. Nanthaporn.
Sawasdee ka. So good morning to everyone. So it's my privilege to be here presenting about the work that we have done so far. So this is the research that we have done, Starfish Education have done with OTEPC, and it's my honor actually to be here and to share this. Starfish as a private organization, we have done a lot of work in Thailand, including the school, the PD Institute, online learning platform, or the EdTech product. We are very big on using the tech, but not just using the tech, but using the tech to not only for those who can afford, but really for everyone, for accessibility of the high technology or the lower technology that make impactful learning. Okay. So as the title goes, sorry, I'm just going to need to move this. Can't really see the screen. So this is what I like to call it's a public and private partnerships that we have done with the MOE. I think this is sort of like the new, not really a new idea, but I think it's really crucial that we talk about why the private sector has to play a role in providing quality education, not only in Thailand, but worldwide. So let me start with this project. So it is a new project. We have started collecting data and kicked off this project in May this year. So that is the school year in Thailand starting from May until end of March next year. So what I will be sharing today is very much what we have seen so far. I'll be sharing with you the framework and the concept that we have created for this research. So here are the key summary that we have seen so far. So the idea would be we are using the authentic assessment tool, which is Starfish class. Starfish class is an authentic assessment tool that we have developed not only for this research project, but this is what we have created a few years back. And because we're such a big believer in skills development, and we are in need of having that authentic tool to use in the classroom. And we also found out that the mechanism of teacher self-assessment and the community assessment, this is something that we really need to focus on. And we have found that it's going to be one of the crucial things that we found out that these committee that has a role to conduct the assessment for the teachers, they really have to share a common understanding between the teachers and the community so that this whole appraisal evaluation initiative would be working effectively. And lastly, school principals or school leaders play a very crucial role, just very much like Professor Wendy has mentioned earlier, the collective leadership, how the school leader support the teachers. This is something that we'll be looking at together today. So this is the outline that we are looking at today. So I'm just going to be sharing with you a little bit about Starfish class, which is the tool, and the PA. PA is the performance agreement by OTEPC, and this performance agreement is alternative to teacher professional rank evaluation. So when the teacher wants to get the promotion, this is the process that they have to go through. For the teachers, there are 8 sub-categories looking at the quality of the classrooms. So we use these 8 subcategories when we're looking at the high quality classroom as the main indicator of the teachers. And these are something that are already in place. It's not something that Starfish created. It's done by the MOE. So this is what we have looking at. And just a little bit about Starfish class. Starfish class is an online authentic assessment tool that we created. We are looking at assessing the skills that is important for students today. We're looking at what we call the 4 C's, as well as the social-emotional learning skills. Not only teacher can observe the behaviors of the students, they can also attach photos or notes or basically evidence of learning into the platform. And this application, Starfish has started and share with our own school as well as anyone who would like to use free of charge. These are our foundation initiative. And for us, as a foundation looking for impact, to be working with the MOE, this is such a great pleasure to see that what we have created can make impact in much larger scale, not only for Starfish school. So for now, the teachers have been using Starfish class more than 3 million times. It has been assessed students for more than 120,000 students from 23,000 classrooms. And as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at skills development, the 21st century skills, as well as the socio-emotional learning skills. So just a little bit about the background of the project. So let's start with the teacher. The teacher, in the normal process of the PA process, the teacher would have to create their own plan. And this plan, the school leader or the principal will be helping to support the PA process. And this is the existing process that all the school teachers are doing. And then the school leader will appoint the committee looking at the quality of the plan, the development plan, and then they will evaluate that against the 8 process indicators that I mentioned earlier. These are the normal process that have been in place. What we have observed is there are actually some operational gaps that we could look at. The first gap that we're looking at is the first one, the academic support. We want to look at how much support that the school leader actually gives to the teachers. And then the second gap that we're looking at is between the PA committee and the teacher. Because the PA committee will be the one that looking at the quality of the development plan and what kind of feedback that the teacher get from that. So that's the second gap that we like to see. And then we are now looking at the lesson plan. The lesson plan that the teacher actually created, and then looking at all of these 8 process indicators, and then looking at the classroom. So the classroom, we're looking at the objective of that particular lesson, we're looking at the activity, and then we look at the evaluation. What is missing from all of this process is the assessment of the student individually. It's more like a personalized learning of each student, and that's where Starfish class came in. So before we have teacher evaluation against these 8 subcategories of the high quality classroom, but then we can never really compare, what's really happening, for each individual child. So we use Starfish class to do that assessment, and that is the third gap that I'm talking about. So the classroom assessment and then the evidence collection. So from that sort of like landscape, we have created this research framework and 3 objectives. So again, we're looking at teacher and then the support that the principal school leaders give to the teachers. We are looking at the relationship or the feedback loop from the teachers and the PA committee. And then we're looking at the correlation between the teacher quality of teacher teaching and the quality of student learning. So before this, the teacher could rate themselves or do self-evaluation to a certain extent, but then we can never really compare. If the teacher rate very high for themselves, would that reflect in the classroom or would that reflect in the student learning? So that's where we are looking at. So these are the 3 objectives that we're looking at in this research. So the data sources that we are collecting is a survey from teachers and principals. We're looking at the student assessment results from Starfish class, and then we look at the indicator assessment results from the committee, and we'll be looking at the lesson plan that the teacher created. We also conduct in-depth interview with the teachers and the committees. So this is the survey component. So as I mentioned earlier, we use the 8 indicators from the PA, and then we use that. We didn't really change anything. That's sort of like something that the teachers also have to do in the process anyway. But we are looking at the quality of the lesson plan that they created against these PA indicators. We also did the quality check of the survey by 3 R.O.C experts for the quality of the survey that we use. So the data collection comes from the lesson plan. So the teacher would create the lesson plan, and then they will select 3 to 5 skills that they would, as a learning outcome of that particular lesson plan. And then they will conduct the classroom activities. And while they conduct the classroom activities or while they teach, they'll be doing the authentic assessment, so looking at the behavior of the students and looking at their own performance using the 8 PA indicators. And then they also evaluate they will evaluate principal support and by the use of the Starfish class. And then the committee will evaluate teachers' lesson plan through the 8 PA indicators. The principal also evaluate their own performance through PA indicators in supporting teachers and the use of Starfish class. So this is a process that we have done so far. So the first step, we do the research design, then professional learning activities, and this, from our observation, this is a crucial time where we really need to give support, not only for them to understand how to use different tools, but more on the academic support as well. And then we do the data collection phase 1, then we do the analysis, then we do phase 2 data collection, and then we do the analysis again. So what we have found so far, objective 1, the activities for teacher, we're looking at the teacher support, what kind of support that the teachers get. We're looking at the support that we provide to teachers so that they understand the PA, and as well as how to use the tool. And then the last one, we're looking at the student and teachers' results. So these are the 3 main objectives that we're looking at. Now we have gathered some information from the teachers, what they have seen so far, what kind of feedback that they have, both on the process and on the tool as well. So these are the support that the teachers have been getting from this research project. So as I mentioned earlier, we just started this project in May. So as you can see, in May, we spent a lot of time in designing all this survey, the research framework. And then we also work with the teachers on communication. A lot of this has been done online because the schools and the teachers are spread out throughout the country. And then ongoing, we also have an online and on-site professional development support. And then last one, we also have a follow-up online monitoring and data collection. So what I want to say here is this whole process is not only about introducing teachers to the tool and just let them use it or talk to the teacher about PA and let them do it. It's pretty much more like what kind of support that you have for teachers and for the school ongoing. We have worked with 21 schools in this project, and so far we have 94 informants. And that come from 73 teachers and 21 principals. And they do come from different kind of schools, from primary school, secondary school, special, and as well as special ed school. And this is something about our teacher. So our teacher, the majority of the teachers are in between early and mid-career journey. And so this is quite interesting. Sometimes the teachers have been doing the work for some time, but because they change school or move school, so we also looking at like the total year that they've been working in the current school as well. So that's about 1 to 5. The majority is about 1 to 5 that they've been working in that school. We're also looking at the school principal as well. So about 50% of the principal have management experiences in current schools, so about 1 to 4 years. So very similar to the teacher, they're in mid-career. And this is very what we have found out. It might be a bit small, but you can also look at the slide that be given to you. So the point that is very interesting, if you see like the support from the teacher perspective, right? The teacher said the support from the school principal they have an average around 4.6 out of 5. So that's, I mean, it's still a good score, but it's still less than what the principal believe that they give the support to the teachers, which is 4.9. And so looking at sort of like the rating there, but I just want to emphasize on the level of support. Because if you see from the lowest one, the red one, that's like one-way communication. So, they set a formal meeting, communicate about, this project or PA, or even the use of Starfish class. And that's very one-way communication, right? But when you ask the school leader, sometimes they said, yes, I have support my teachers, but you really have to look at the quality of the support as well. And looking at like sort of like the top sentence there, it said actively provide academic reflection of PA and Starfish class. And that many times are done in what they call the professional learning community that they have formed. And they have worked together looking at, reflecting on the progress and not just telling you, okay, you're now doing this project, but you're not really give, further support. So for the second one, we look at the perception comparison. So we have done t-tests, and we found out that the teacher perceived the principal support differently than the principal belief they have provided. So again, when we're looking at sort of like the perspective of the teacher and perspective of the principal, there are some significant differences. The school principal believes that they have given, really good support, but from the teacher perspective, they may see otherwise. And then we're looking at the correlation between teacher process, outcome, and support. By looking at the lesson plan evaluation, the outcome of the 8 PA indicator, and then looking at the principal support evaluation. So all these three, we found out that it has the positive correlate. So everything has a positive correlate together. Then we're looking at the development plan that the teacher created to the support process and the outcome. And once again, we found that the process positively correlates. Then we look at the evaluation or assessment between teacher and then the school, the committee. So the teacher, they do their own assessment, self-assessment. The committee do the self-assessment for the teacher. So we found out that 7 pairs of teachers and committees, they look at it very differently. So when comparing the percentage, it was found that almost all the teachers rated themselves higher than the committee actually rate them. So this could be another thing that we can look at, like the perception of the teacher are very different than the committee. Then we are looking at the teachers and student results. As I mentioned earlier, we're looking at the lesson plan as one of the evidence, and the lesson plan that we have received come from different subjects, ranging from mathematics, science, Thai, to early childhood lesson plans. And then there are top 3 skills that have been assessed. The top one is teamwork and leadership, followed by critical thinking and problem solving, and then creativity and innovation. There are also other skills that the teachers have used in their lesson plan, like communication, self-awareness, and relationship, and so on. When we look at the indicators, the 8 PD indicators, comparing the teachers and the school principal, for the teachers, we're looking at the lesson plan evaluation and then the results evaluation. For the school principal, we're looking at the school development plan evaluation, and then again, the result evaluation. So as you can see here, the scores of the teachers are lower than the school principals, but this, as I mentioned earlier, these are self-assessment. This is the slide showing what, during the lesson that they have conducted, so each teacher will come up with their own lesson plan, identifying different skills that they like to make in that particular lesson plan. And these are just a summary of the skills that the teachers are hoping to foster for the students. So far, we have found out that Starfish class, how Starfish class work is a teacher will set up the skill that it would like to observe, and then there'll be a list of action items that they could see from the application. And once the teachers see that particular behavior, they will tick that activity and then put in the evidence of that action. So there's a lot of what we call here checklists that the teachers can have a look and can use. And somehow the teachers say, I think one of the things that we have found that for teachers to understand the behavior which connects to particular skill, that also is skill for the teacher as well. So we still have to do a lot of work in helping the teachers to understand or interpret what they see, relate to particular skill. And this is what we have seen. Here are some insights from the teachers, how Starfish class can support the teachers in their own PD. So I think one of the big one is really it's the tool that can actually help collecting evidence, and that's what's missing, from the previous sort of like teaching and learning. There are lots of checklists that they can use, and the application you can have students at your core as your co-assess. Or the student can co-assess, with the activity and their own assessment as well. There's a visual summary. So another thing that so this is something that we can work a bit more better. Some teachers would like to see like the whole rubric, or they want to create the rubric themselves. When we started Starfish class, this is something that we talk about as well, that, once the teacher have certain kind of capacity in creating their own skills and rubric skills, that should be the ultimate thing where the teachers know exactly what I'm looking for and how I want to assess that. But some teachers are more ready than others, so some teachers still want to use the standard or the standard rubric, or some teachers would like to create their own. And this is something that we are taking note in the future to see what we could do more to help the teacher, do their own assessment better. We're also looking at like how the teachers can use Starfish class with their own PA. So I think one thing that I like to highlight here, because of the time, I think the main actor here is the school principal or the school leader. School principal, act as a key person to support teachers, not only to understand the PA indicators, and not only to use Starfish class as a tool, but really to understand the whole concept of evaluation or assessing authentic assessment. And this is something that we can also help the teachers to do that. Ongoing communication is also very key to this conversation, and the support that the teachers get, or the feedback that the teachers get from all the stakeholders, whether it's the school leaders or the committee. So the recommendation that we have so far, we would like to improve the holistic and ongoing communication between, or among the stakeholders, school leaders and experts who come in to help the schools, the peer teachers, and even like parents, whoever have a role to play in the school. And number two, like for the use of Starfish class in this sense is an authentic assessment tool. We are really keen to develop the tool that make a difference in the classroom, and for the tool to be effective, and to be able to help the teachers in collecting data and assessment. And we are looking at tool improvement as well. So I think now we have come to the conclusion what we have seen so far during this few short months. We will be doing the second phase of this project by looking at more deeply in the correlation between teachers and students' results. We'll be looking more on the community feedbacks to the teachers. I'll be looking more on the the principal support to the teachers. So it's my great privilege to be sharing the progress of this research with you so far, and I'll be sure to communicate the results at the end of the project next year with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your insightful presentation. To confirm with the core mission of the OTEPC, PA process is a priority of this research to identify a resolution of assessment gap, includes academic support, gap between teacher and PA committee, and classroom assessment. And please allow me to summarize from her presentation. As the leading organization where the online learning platform has been created and contributed to be used as a tool for developing future skills in teachers and school leaders, the research reported that assessing student skill throughout the learning process, seamlessly integrating with their lesson plans, it effectively gathers real-time data and significantly reduces paperwork, while the tool is already beneficial, and there are opportunities for further enhancements to optimize its capabilities even more. The principal also plays an active role in supporting teachers in achieving the PA by having the Starfish class as an assisting tool. This requires proactive support, which is more than one-way communication and monitoring. It is academic support, working with the teacher as a team. Thank you very much for your great and insightful presentation. So I would like to leave our half morning session with the research report of Dr. Nanthaporn. And next, I would like to invite everyone to have a session break. And before that, I would like to inform that our online participants that we will have 10 minutes break. For our on-site participants, I would like to inform that at the end of the session, there will be the e-certificate contribution. So please stay with us until the end of our session. So now our refreshment is already in front of the ballroom at the foyer, and please enjoy your break. We will be back here in 10 minutes. ครับขออนุญาตประชาสัมพันธ์นะครับเป็นภาษาไทยนะครับสำหรับการประชุมในวันนี้นะครับเราจะมีวุฒิบัตรครับออนไลน์เซอร์ติฟิเคตสำหรับผู้ที่เข้าร่วมการสัมมนาในวันนี้นะครับสำหรับท่านผู้บริหารสถานศึกษานะครับเราจะมีวุฒิบัตรนะครับซึ่ง QR code แล้วก็Google Form นะครับของเราจะส่งให้ท่านช่วงหลังจากที่เราได้ทำพิธีการปิดฟอรัมนี้แล้วนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยขอความร่วมมือทุกท่านนะครับอยู่เข้าร่วมการประชุมในวันนี้จนถึงเซสชั่นสุดท้ายในพิธีปิดนะครับเพื่อรอรับเกียรติบัตรของเรานะครับซึ่งเดี๋ยวทางทีมงานของก.ค.ศ.จะส่งให้ท่าน QR code ให้ท่านในช่วงท้ายของพิธีปิดนะครับก็ขอขอบพระคุณนะครับเราจะเบรกเป็นเวลา10นาทีนะครับขอเชิญทุกท่านตามสบายนะครับรับอาหารว่างด้านหน้าห้องโถงของโรงแรมนะครับเดี๋ยวเรากลับมาพบกันในอีก10นาทีข้างหน้านะครับขอบพระคุณครับ
โรงเรียนของเราตั้งอยู่ในตำบลดงพญาครับ12ปีของการอยู่ที่นี่นะครับหัวใจสำคัญอยู่ที่การแก้ปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นหน้างานจริงๆครับ7ปีแรกที่นี่ไม่เคยมีรถยนต์เดินทางมาถึงเส้นทางจะยากลำบากมากๆ จริงๆแล้วหลายๆหมู่บ้านเป็นหมู่บ้านที่เรียงรายตั้งอยู่ในพื้นที่บนภูเขาสูงในถิ่นทุรกันดารดังนั้นก็เลยเกิดปัญหาว่าเด็กกลุ่มนี้เป็นเด็กตกหล่นตอนนี้หอพักเนี่ยมีนักเรียนอยู่ประมาณ110 คนแต่ว่าเด็กกลุ่มนี้ครับเคยลงไปอยู่แล้วแต่ว่าอยู่ไม่ได้ครับโดยวัฒนธรรมที่แตกต่างเราก็พยายามคิดหาวิธีต่างๆนานาไม่รู้จะหาวิธียังไงดีสิ่งที่เราคิดแล้วลงตัวที่สุดก็คือการมาสร้างห้องเรียนสาขาก็เลยจำเป็นที่จะต้องระดมทุนเริ่มต้นสร้างอาคารเรียนที่หย่อมบ้านต่างๆนะครับตอนนี้โรงเรียนบ้านสวาของเราก็มีห้องเรียนสาขาอยู่3แห่งก็คือโรงเรียนบ้านสวาห้องเรียนสาขาบ้านป่ากำห้องเรียนสาขาบ้านขุนน้ำจรและก็ห้องเรียนสาขาบ้านห้วยลัวเริ่มต้นจากหาอาคารเรียนให้ได้ก่อนและประเด็นที่2ก็คือเราต้องหาคุณครูนะครับคุณครูที่มีหัวใจที่เต็มเปี่ยมด้วยความเป็นครูมาช่วยเราสอนที่นี่นะครับสิ่งที่เราจะต้องเติมเต็มแล้วให้นักเรียนเราได้รับการศึกษาที่ดีสุดคือไงมันเริ่มต้นตรงนี้ครับ Line of Accountability นะครับเริ่มต้นจากผู้บริหารต้องชัดเจนตรงนี้นะครับโรงเรียนของเรามีบริบทยังไงปัญหาของเราคืออะไรนะครับทักษะในการสื่อสารไปให้คุณครูผ่านการกระบวนการโคชชิ่งเนี่ยแต่ว่าเขาต้องเปลี่ยนด้วยความรู้สึกที่ดีแล้วเราก็สื่อสารไปกับคุณครูได้ชัดเจนคุณครูก็ใช้ WPA นะครับเพื่อจะมุ่งสู่เป้าหมายของโรงเรียนของเราผมถือโอกาสนะครับใช้ช่วงเวลาของการประกาศเกณฑ์ PA นะครับในการ SWOT Analysis โรงเรียนใหม่อีกครั้งหนึ่งนะครับแล้วก็ให้คุณครูแล้วก็ผู้มีส่วนร่วมต่างๆนะครับร่วมกันที่จะปักหมุดนะครับตั้งเป้าหมายของโรงเรียนร่วมกันอีกครั้งนะครับมองเห็นเป้าหมายร่วมกันแล้วเขาจะรู้ว่าในแต่ละภาคส่วนที่เขาได้รับผิดชอบอยู่เช่นป .1 ป .2 ป .3 ป .4 อย่างเงี้ยครับเขาก็จะรู้ว่า PA เขาควรจะเขียนไปถึงตรงไหนเพื่อจะไปถึงเป้าหมายร่วมกันที่เราจะเดินไปด้วยกันครับ PLC จะเป็นเครื่องมือที่สำคัญของผู้บริหารที่คอยตบประเด็นหรือว่าพอเจอปัญหาอะไรนะครับผู้บริหารหรือว่าทีมงานนะครับจะช่วยกันแก้ปัญหาดังนั้น PLC นะครับ Professional Learning Community นะครับผมก็ไม่เห็นด้วยนะครับที่ว่าจะต้องมานั่งทำ PLC แล้วก็ถ่ายรูปแล้วก็จดบันทึกแล้วก็นับชั่วโมงกันแต่ว่าหัวใจของ PLC ที่แท้จริงก็คือสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นในหน้างานนะครับเพื่อนครูซึ่งเป็น Professional หรือเป็นอาชีพเดียวกันช่วยกันคิดว่าจะทำยังไงให้มันดีขึ้นจะช่วยกันแก้ปัญหายังไงตรงนั้นเป็นหัวใจครับจริงๆคำว่า classroom ไม่ได้หมายถึงห้องเรียนสี่เหลี่ยมขนาด6 × 9 54 ตารางเมตรนะฮะจริง classroom หมายถึงผมว่า learning space นะครับ learning space คือพื้นที่การเรียนรู้ตรงนั้นสำคัญมากๆเลยนะครับครูที่ดีครูที่เก่งนะครับจะต้องสามารถที่จะเสกสรรปั้นแต่ง learning space ตรงนั้นแล้วให้เด็กเกิดการเรียนรู้นะครับเพื่อจะพัฒนาตัวเองให้ได้นะครับดังนั้นเกณฑ์ PA นะผมต้องขอบคุณก.ค.ศ. มากๆเลยนะครับที่ตั้งเกณฑ์ PA ออกมาแล้วก็บอกว่าให้ครูแต่ละพื้นที่แต่ละโรงเรียนแต่ละสถานศึกษาเนี่ยพัฒนาเด็กๆให้ประสบความสำเร็จตามบริบทของเด็กๆจริงๆดังนั้นปลายทางของเด็กๆทุกคนของพวกเราเนี่ยเขาสามารถจินตนาการได้นะครับว่าปลายทางของเขาเป็นอาชีพอะไรถ้าเราไม่ทราบว่าเฮ้ยตกลงอาชีพที่เหมาะสมกับตัวเราเนี่ยมันคืออาชีพกลุ่มไหนเราก็จะไม่สามารถที่จะเดินทางไปสู่การพัฒนาตัวเองไปสู่อาชีพนั้นๆนะครับดังนั้นนะครับเราเพาะบ่มให้เด็กไปสู่ตรงนี้ได้นะครับซึ่งผมถือว่าเป็นพื้นที่ที่สำคัญมากๆเราเคยเก็บข้อมูลได้นะครับว่าใน1ปีเงินเข้ามาที่หมู่บ้านสปันถึง400 ล้านบาทนั่นหมายความว่าเฉลี่ยวันละ1 ล้านบาทซึ่งห่างจากบ้านสวาไปแค่4 กิโลเมตรเท่านั้นเองนะครับคำถามย้อนกลับก็คือว่าการศึกษาของเราเนี่ยเราจะตอบโจทย์ตรงนั้นยังไงได้นะครับย้อนกลับไปที่สวานะครับเมื่อ5 ปีที่แล้วเรามีหลักสูตรการท่องเที่ยวและการโรงแรมเกิดขึ้นที่โรงเรียนบ้านสวาดังนั้นสิ่งนี้แหละเป็นสิ่งที่เราออกแบบการเรียนรู้เป็นลักษณะของหลักสูตรแล้วก็เราใช้ห้องเรียนหรือว่าคลาสรูมนะครับเป็นเครื่องมือเราใช้คุณครูที่อยู่ในชั้นเรียนเหล่านั้นเป็นเครื่องมือที่จะพัฒนาเด็กช่วงที่2คือช่วงของการประเมินครับช่วงของการประเมินก็คือจริงๆแล้วประเมินเราไม่ได้หมายความว่าไปประเมินท้ายปีนะครับเราประเมินระหว่างได้นะครับช่วงนี้แหละเป็นช่วงที่ผู้บริหารจะต้องใช้บทบาทความเป็นผู้นำทางวิชาการของตัวเองเสร็จแล้วเกณฑ์ PA ก็คือมีความท้าทายว่าแต่ละปีเราจะพัฒนาเด็กไปสเต็ปไหนบ้างนะครับมีความสำเร็จเช่นใดเกิดขึ้นมาบ้างนะครับภายใต้ทรัพยากรเท่าที่เขามีอยู่ครับผมที่ทำให้การประเมินดูตามสภาพบริบทที่เกิดขึ้นจริงๆครับผม กขส.ก็ไม่ได้ระบุชัดเจนเลยนะครับว่าคุณจะต้องลงไปสอนอย่างเดียวนะครับจริงๆมีกระบวนการที่จะเข้าไปศึกษาห้องเรียนเพื่อจะให้ทำความรู้จักกับเด็กๆเยอะแยะมากมายซึ่งผู้บริหารแต่ละโรงแต่ละบริบทก็สามารถที่จะปรับหรือว่าอีกประเด็นหนึ่งครับผู้บริหารอาจจะไปร่วมเข้าไปสังเกตการสอนผู้บริหารโรงเรียนนะครับมีหน้าที่ประเมินคุณครูอยู่แล้วนะครับการประเมินคุณครูก็คือการจะต้องเข้าไปดูในห้องเรียนนะครับผมไปขอชั่วโมงสอนครับผมขอสอนแนว5ชั่วโมงจากฝ่ายวิชาการค้นคว้าจากแหล่งเรียนรู้ต่างๆจากอินเทอร์เน็ตแล้วเอามาออกแบบการเรียนรู้เพื่อจะเติมเต็มแล้วผมก็สอนครับทดสอบเช็คพอสอนปุ๊บตอนนี้เกิดปรากฏการณ์ดีๆเกิดขึ้นหลายเรื่องนะครับผู้บริหารโรงเรียนจะต้องมีส่วนอย่างยิ่งนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นการบริหารบุคคลอาจจะมีทักษะทางช่างอาจจะมีทักษะการออกแบบเมื่อหลอมรวมเป็นผู้บริหารแล้วมันคือทุกสิ่งทุกอย่างที่จะนำพาให้กองทัพการศึกษาเดินไปได้ครับ PA เนี่ยผมคิดว่าเป็นเครื่องมือที่ทรงพลังที่สุดที่จะทำให้ผู้บริหารได้กลับมาทบทวนตัวเองใช้ในการปิดคุณภาพการศึกษา
หัวใจหลักของการสอนมัธยมก็คือการที่เราเข้าใจธรรมชาติของเขาแล้วก็บางอย่างพอเขาเล่นกันอยู่ด้วยกันเนี่ยจะทำให้สีสันของห้องเรียนเนี่ยมันเพิ่มขึ้นแล้วก็เกิดความสนุกมากยิ่งขึ้นอันดับแรกเลยที่คิดไว้ก็คือการแก้พฤติกรรมการเรียนของเด็กที่ไม่ค่อยให้ความสนใจในด้านวิชาการเท่าที่ควรนะคะต้องยอมรับว่ากฎหมายเนี่ยเกี่ยวข้องกับชีวิตประจำวันของพวกเขาแล้วยิ่งสมัยนี้ค่ะสื่อที่มีให้เห็นหรือว่าการไปใช้ชีวิตข้างนอกอย่างเงี้ยค่ะมันค่อนข้างเกี่ยวข้องกับตัวของเขามากๆเลยนะคะบางครั้งเขาไปเจอแล้วเขาไม่รู้ว่าต้องทำยังไงกับสถานการณ์นี้หรือว่าถ้ามีคนมาทำพฤติกรรมอย่างนี้กับเขาจะต้องป้องกันยังไงหรือว่าแก้ไขปัญหายังไงคือเด็กเขายังหาทางออกไม่ได้เราก็เลยอยากจะเติมเต็มส่วนนี้เพื่อหาทางป้องกันแล้วก็แก้ไขไม่ให้เกิดขึ้นได้ในอนาคตสิ่งนี้มันสำคัญนะเราต้องสอนให้เด็กรู้เพื่อว่าที่จะไม่ให้เกิดเหตุการณ์เหล่านี้ซ้ำขึ้นมาอย่างเงี้ยค่ะอีกอย่างก็คือถ้าเด็กโตไปบางคนเขาค้นพบว่าตัวเองอาจจะไม่เหมาะกับเส้นทางนักฟุตบอลอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเขาจะได้เอาความรู้เนี่ยไปต่อยอดในระดับที่สูงขึ้นต้องจับความผิดอาญาเรื่องใดปฏิบัติ
เกี่ยวข้องมากครับอยู่ในโรงเรียนอาจจะไม่ค่อยเกี่ยวเท่าไหร่ครับแต่ไปอยู่ในสังคมอยู่ในด้านนอกครับมันเกี่ยวมากเลยครับ
ได้เยอะเลยครับการใช้ชีวิตการเอาตัวรอดกฎหมายมันต้องจำเป็นต้องใช้ในชีวิตประจำวันครับเพราะว่ามันเจอทุกวันอยู่แล้วครับนำไปใช้ได้ครับ
เรื่องกฎหมายเนี่ยมันเป็นเรื่องที่ค่อนข้างยากแล้วก็ต้องยอมรับว่ากฎหมายเป็นอะไรที่ต้องใช้ความจำค่ะเมื่อเด็กใช้ความจำเนี่ยยิ่งมาเจอเด็กที่เขาแอคทีฟมากๆอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเขาก็จะแทบจะไม่เอาเลยค่ะแล้วเขาจะไม่จำถ้าไม่มีอะไรเป็นเทคนิคการจำให้เขาหรือไม่มีกิจกรรมที่น่าสนใจช่วยกระตุ้นเขาด้วยความที่เป็นกฎหมายอะค่ะมันต้องยอมรับว่ามันต้องใช้ความจำฉะนั้นการที่จะให้เด็กมาทำกิจกรรมเลยเนี่ยมันจะไม่เหมาะเพราะว่าเราต้องใส่ความรู้ให้เด็กไปก่อนค่ะแล้วเมื่อใส่ความรู้ให้เด็กเรียบร้อยแล้วเราก็ต้องการแบบให้เด็กได้จำได้ทบทวนโดยที่เขาไม่รู้สึกน่าเบื่อในการเรียนเราก็เลยจะเสริมกิจกรรมเหล่านี้ให้เขาไปแล้วด้วยความที่เขาเป็นนักกีฬาค่ะเขาจะไม่ค่อยชอบกิจกรรมที่จะหยุดนิ่งเท่าไหร่ก็เลยเสริมกิจกรรมที่เหมาะกับตัวของนักกีฬาด้วยการให้เขาแบบได้ออกกำลังกายได้มีปฏิสัมพันธ์กับเพื่อนในกลุ่มใ ช้การสอนแบบ active learning เข้ากับตัวชีวัดทำให้เด็กได้ความรู้แล้วก็สามารถนำไปใช้ในชีวิตประจำวันได้ มีการเปลี่ยนประเด็นท้าทายในแต่ละปีอะค่ะให้เหมาะสมกับสถานการณ์ช่วงนั้นๆหรือว่าเหมาะสมกับนักเรียนในระดับชั้นนั้นๆซึ่งมันเป็นข้อดีมากๆของ WPA ค่ะไม่เอาเงินให้ 2,000 บาทจะแฉความลับเรื่องที่แมนยูเคยฉี่ใส่ที่นอนตอนป .6 อย่าเพิ่งอันดับแรกก็คือเด็กน่าจะให้ความสนใจในการเรียนการสอนมากขึ้นค่ะแล้วก็เด็กก็จะมีความเข้าใจในเนื้อหานั้นมากขึ้นถึงแม้ว่าเราอาจจะไม่ได้ active learning ทุกคาบนะคะแต่ว่าเชื่อว่าการสอนแบบ active learning อะค่ะจะทำให้พัฒนาการในด้านการศึกษาของไทยค่ะดีขึ้นไป
ชอบครับมันได้ทำกิจกรรมร่วมกับเพื่อนครับพอมีเกมเข้ามาก็มาทำให้อยากรู้มากขึ้นครับ
ดีนะครับแกสอนสนุกครับเป็นกันเองมันสนุกครับ
ความโชคดีของเรานะคะก็คือโรงเรียนของเราเนี่ยเป็นโรงเรียนขนาดเล็กทำให้ครูเนี่ยจะได้สอนตั้งแต่ระดับชั้นม.1 จนถึงม.6 จะได้เจอเด็กในทุกช่วงวัยของชีวิตอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็จะทำให้เราได้เรียนรู้พฤติกรรมของเขาแล้วเราก็เวลาสอนเราก็จะได้เอาสิ่งที่เราได้เรียนรู้ในพฤติกรรมของเขาค่ะมาปรับใช้กับตัวบุคคลให้เหมาะสมการที่จะสร้างคนคนหนึ่งให้เขาเติบโตไปในทางที่ดีและมีคุณภาพได้มันไม่ใช่เรื่องง่ายพอเราสามารถผลักดันเขาไปนะเส้นทางนั้นได้มันคือความภูมิใจการที่เราได้เห็นเขาเติบโตไปเป็นผู้ใหญ่ที่ดีในสังคมต่อยอดไปเข้าสู่มหาลัยหรือต่อยอดไปสู่อาชีพที่เขารักได้มันเป็นความภูมิใจอะค่ะดีใจมากๆค่ะที่เห็นเขาประสบความสำเร็จในการเข้ามหาลัยหรือการไปเป็นนักฟุตบอลอาชีพนะคะ
เขาเรียนรู้อย่างมีความสุขเรามีความหวังดีให้เขาอะเราอยากให้เขาได้จริงๆเทอมแรกคือมาเลยเห็นเลยว่าเด็กไม่ได้คณิตศาสตร์จริงหนูรู้สึกว่าหนูมองข้ามตัวนี้ไม่ได้ถ้าจะต้องส่งต่อเขาไปป.1 ฉะนั้นหนูต้องหาอะไรก็ตามมาแก้เขาให้ได้ค่ะและก็เป็นประเด็นท้าทายให้เราอยากพาเขาทำให้ได้ถ้าเกิดว่ากระบวนการเดิมเราใช้กับเขาในรุ่นนี้ไม่ได้เราก็ต้องเปลี่ยนใหม่ให้มันเข้ากับเขาให้มากที่สุดเพราะว่าเด็กแต่ละคนก็ไม่เหมือนกันอยู่แล้วฉะนั้นทุกอย่างมันก็ต้องเปลี่ยนแต่ก็อาจจะไม่ได้เปลี่ยนทั้งหมดกระบวนการเดิมก็ยังคงอยู่ยังมีกลิ่นอายของมันอยู่แต่เราก็ต้องเปลี่ยนให้เข้ากับเขาในบางอย่างอันนี้คือตัวเลขอะไรคะเลข 1เหมือนอะไรคะเด็กๆเหมือนอะไรเหมือนเสาธงในวัยของเขาอะเลข 1บางครั้งเขาก็ไม่รู้มันคืออะไรเราต้องทำให้เขาจำให้ได้โดยเรียนรู้จากสัญลักษณ์เพราะว่าอนุบาลเนี่ยจะเรียนรู้เรื่องสัญลักษณ์เป็นหลักเหมือนเลข 1ก็เหมือนเสาธงให้เขาจำได้2เหมือนเป็ดแต่เขาต้องเหมือนตกลงกับเราก่อนว่าเขาอยากให้ตัวเลขตัวนี้มันเหมือนอะไรแล้วทุกคนต้องมองให้เป็นเหมือนกันด้วยค่ะเพราะเขาเรียนรู้เรื่องตัวเลขเป็นสัญลักษณ์ไปแล้วเราจึงค่อยมาแทนค่าโดยใช้เม็ดแต้เพราะเม็ดแต้เราคือพระเอกให้เขาเรียนรู้การนับจากการใช้เม็ดแต้ทีละเม็ดไปเรื่อยๆช้าๆชัดๆค่อยเป็นค่อยไปผิดก็ไม่เป็นไรเราช่วยกันแก้และไอ้ที่เขาแก้นั่นแหละมันจะกลายเป็นความยั่งยืนที่ติดตัวเขาไปเขาต้องเรียนรู้จากความผิดพลาดเม็ดแต้เองมันมีลักษณะคล้ายกับลูกคิดที่คนจีนเขาใช้อะค่ะแล้วเราอยากให้เด็กได้ตัวนี้จริงๆเพราะเราเห็นว่าวัตถุดิบตัวเนี้ยมันเยอะ มันเพียงพอกับเด็กเราไม่ต้องซื้อด้วยแล้วมันคงทนด้วยใช้ได้ตลอดทั้งปีทั้งเทอมเลยมันไม่หายไปไหนแล้วทำให้เด็กใกล้ชิดกับสิ่งที่อยู่ในท้องถิ่นให้เขารู้สึกว่าเขาต้องรักษามันนะคือให้เขาเรียนรู้ว่าสื่อหลายๆอย่างที่เขาเอามาเล่นไม่จำเป็นต้องซื้อมันหาได้ใช้สื่อที่มันไม่ต้องซื้อหามีความคงทนมันเพียงพอสำหรับเด็กด้วยและมันเป็นสิ่งที่อยู่รอบๆตัวเขามันทำให้เขากลับไปสู่ท้องถิ่นของเขาและเห็นคุณค่าของสิ่งที่มีอยู่มากกว่าเดิมพอได้เกณฑ์มาแล้วเรามั่นใจในเกณฑ์เราแล้วเราค่อยมาดูแผนเรามาดูการวิเคราะห์แผนเราว่าเราจะทำไงให้แผนของเราเข้าเกณฑ์มากที่สุดพอได้เสร็จแล้วเราก็แค่มาอ่านแผนให้เข้าใจอ่านแผนให้เข้าใจแล้วเหมือนคุยกับตัวเองค่ะว่า1 2 3 4 5คุณต้องทำอะไรกับเด็กก่อนค่อยไปจัดการเรียนการสอนกับเด็กสิ่งที่สำคัญที่สุดคือเนื้อหาที่เราต้องการจะนำเสนอให้กรรมการได้รับฟังนั่นแหละคือสิ่งสำคัญมากกว่าว่าเราเรียงมันได้ถูกต้องไหมเราทำคลิปได้ถูกต้องไหมตามวิทยาฐานะที่เราต้องการจะส่งวอล PA มันทำให้เราเหมือนอยู่ห้องเรียนมากขึ้นเพราะว่าเราต้องไปทำอะไรก็ได้ให้มันเกิดผลลัพธ์ที่เด็กจริงๆคำพูดที่บอกว่าเราอยากลดเอกสารเนี่ยมันก็ทำได้จริงในวอล PA ทุกอย่างต้องเป็นธรรมชาติของเด็กที่เราทำให้เขาเป็นปกติเป็นออโต้อยู่แล้วมันเป็นอะไรที่เมคไม่ได้แล้วการได้ถ่ายวิดีโอของเราซ้ำไปซ้ำมาแก้ได้ปรับได้อะไรเงี้ยมันเหมือนมันทำให้เราเชี่ยวชาญมากยิ่งขึ้นทำให้ครูตามทันเทคโนโลยีมากขึ้น
Alright everyone, I would like to call back to the forum. I hope you are having a great refreshment and may I invite everyone to get back to your seat and we are going to start the next session shortly. Also greeting to all participants who are joining us through online platform. For more information about our presentation and guideline, you can scan the further QR code attached to your name badge. And we also provide all documents and information regarding the forum. So next session will be a panel discussion. Once again, for our online participants, we are inviting you to leave your message or comments in the YouTube or Facebook chat box for sharing and exchanging your ideas regarding our session. We hope you had a great time. It's also good for you to catch up with your friends, your companions, your other educational personnel and principals for sharing your network. Also, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the OTEPC International Forum on Teaching Profession Development 2024 with a great support from Starfish, Education and ALTV. I hope you had once again a great time catching up with your networks. At this time, I would like to proceed to the next session. And the next session will be the panel discussion. As I informed earlier, the session will be discussed under the thematic area of collective leadership, the key to success in future schooling. Today, we have an honor to learn from our panelists who have been involved and had extensively insightful experience and practices in education development focusing on collective leadership. First, I would like to welcome our panelists to the stage. First, Professor Darren Bryant from the Curtin University of Australia, followed by Associate Professor Qian Haiyan from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. And the third one, Mr. Scott Haines from Burnside High School, New Zealand, and Mrs. Hajah Ratnawati Binti Mohammad, the Model Inclusive School from Kariam Primary School, Brunei, Darussalam. Please welcome on the stage. And our moderator for this session is Associate Professor Dr. Maitri Inprasit. He is a former Dean of Faculty of Education, and he currently serves as a Senior Research Fellow for the Institute for Research and Development of Teaching Profession for ASEAN, or IRDTP, Khon Kaen University, Thailand. Before conduct, as I mentioned, please welcome everyone to the stage. Just to briefly inform, I would like to invite our online audiences. You can leave your comments, your question in the YouTube chat box or Facebook during each presentation to share or comments regarding our topic. So if you are ready, Dr. Maitri and our panelists, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussions. The themes is collective leadership, the key to success in future schooling. So first, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. Let me start with the Professor Darren Bryant. He is a professor in Curtin University Schools of Education, Deans of Learning Futures in the Faculty of Humanity, and Associate Editor in the International Journals of Education Management, and a Senior Research Fellows in the Asia Pacific Centers for Leadership and Change. And previously, he was head of the Department of Education Policy and Leadership and associate directors of the APCLC at the Education University of Hong Kong. Professor Bryant published a number of books on schools leadership, including principal preparation, middle leaders, situated learning, and therefore to build other leadership capacity. Yes. And next, I would like to introduce Professor Qian Haiyan. She is Associate Professor at the Department of Education Administration and Policy of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Before joining the CUHK, she has been Director of the Asia Pacific Center for Leadership and Change APCLC and Associate Head of Department of Education Policy and Leadership at the Education University of Hong Kong. Her research areas include education leadership, school improvement and reform, and teacher learning. Professor Haiyan's scholarly productive and quality outputs has been recognized by Hong Kong UGC Early Career Award and the EduHK President's Award of Outstanding Performance in Research in 2015 and 2016, and also President Award for Outstanding Performance in Teaching. Professor Haiyan also published journals such as Journals of Education Policy, Education Management, Administration Leadership, and Journals of Education Administration. She also serves as an editorial board member of Education Management, Administration Leadership, and Journals of Educational Administration. And welcome, yeah. And next is the principals, Scott Haiyan. Principal Haiyan is an accomplished educator with over 2 decades of experience in New Zealand education system. Currently, the principals, he is the principal at the Burnside High School, Burnside High School in Christchurch, and he leads one of the country's largest secondary school with 2,500 students and 207 staff. Amazing. His career inclusive principal role at 3 schools where he was consistently improves academic results and student engagement. He holds an MBA with distinction and has expertise in school governance, curriculum development, and strategic planning. As Vice President of Secondary Principal Associates of New Zealand, he also shapes the national education policy and advocates for secondary principals. His contributions have been recognized through various appointments, including the Ministry of Professional Advisory Group. Thank you. And last, teachers, Hajah, Ratnawati, Binti, Haji, Mohammad. I'm pronounced correctly, right? Yes, thanks. She is an experienced educational officer with over 34 years of dedicated teaching service, specializing in special education. Since 1998, she has been a full-time special educational needs teacher and leading the Models Inclusive Schools Center at Karim's Primary School in Brunei, Tatang District. Her qualifications include the BEd in primary education with specialized in special education, with a specialty in, and Ratnawati excellence in special education has been recognized through numerous awards, including the Excellent Teacher Award from the Sultan Brunei and the Princess Mahajagri Award in Bangkok. She is actively involved in her school's management team and mentorship program committed to fostering inclusive education and improving access to the quality education for all children regardless of their background and ability. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, you see how distinguished panelists for our panel discussion today. So we will be like 1 hour and a half, so we have 1 hour and a half. I'm a mathematics teacher, so I will be sharply, control the times, for the first hour, we'll give you each 10 minutes, then second hour for 5 minutes, so that we can have receive the question from the floor. So we start with, Professor Bryant, please.
Is there a PowerPoint?
No, your PowerPoint? What's the PowerPoint? Okay, it's coming.
There we go. Okay. Is this working? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to share some ideas today. My perspective is, most recently as a researcher, my focus has been, over the last 10 years, on middle leadership. So middle leaders are subject heads in schools, or perhaps they're heads of year levels, or perhaps they are specialists like special educational needs coordinators or information technology coordinators. So they've got responsibilities in the school. And more, we're finding that in international research, and in my research mostly in Hong Kong, that there's a shift in thinking about these roles, not so much as being managers, but as being leaders. So my research is looking at that, And it's also looking at how senior leaders like principals and deputy principals can help to develop middle leaders and their leadership capacity in schools. So that's my perspective. And as I was thinking about today's, my chance to share for 10 minutes, maybe it's 9 minutes now, about collective leadership, I wanted to make the connections between what I've been learning with the notion of collective leadership and future schooling, because I think the future schooling aspect's important to this. And so to me, there's three main messages. All of us in schools, we have a responsibility to educate students for an uncertain future. This requires a broad understanding of leadership because principals can't do it by themselves. We need lots of people taking up leadership responsibilities in schools to be successful, and this requires a future-oriented perspective. So I think a starting point to think about this is, what do we want for our schools? What do we want them to be like in the future? So I jotted down some ideas here that I think resonate with what I've been learning in my research and when I talk and my reading. We want schools where no one is disadvantaged, so it doesn't matter your ethnicity, whether you're rich or poor, we want everyone to have good opportunities for their future. And I won't read all of these to you, but part of this might involve strong networks with the community that the school is working in. Some of it might involve being agile. Can the school respond to these unpredicted changes that will come up, like COVID, like technologies? And Professor Pan mentioned some examples of this earlier. So my thinking is something like this. We can think about the starting point of the schools that we want. We know a lot about school leadership already, and we are developing new practices in response to changes, such as crisis leadership in response to COVID. But that middle part is what I want to focus on today, this notion of future-oriented collective leadership. And I've tried to distill down 4 ideas that I want to talk about, and I'll discuss them in a minute. I think if we can get that right, it can lead to resilient schools that can respond to challenges well and help us get to the schools that we want. So my photos haven't shown up there. Sorry about that. So the first notion is vision agility. So what we found in the studies on middle leadership is middle leaders are really enabled to do their jobs well when there is a very clear school mission, but not one that is just the same as every other school. Like we want to build 21st century skills, for instance, but something that is more focused on the needs of the community that our students are coming from. That gives some insight as to how middle leaders can do their jobs. The other aspect to this is that as challenges come to us and to our organizations, we may need to realize that there's not necessarily one standard approach to fulfilling our vision. We might need to be willing to change quickly. So I think it looks something like this. This to me would be the key features of vision agility. So again, it's this idea of knowing the direction that we're going in. Everyone in the school understanding the school priorities. That allows individuals, whether they're teachers or whether they're middle leaders or deputy principals, to understand changes and have a sense of how they might respond to it. It also allows people who may not be thought of as formal leaders to recognize, hey, I have an innovative idea. I can bring this to my middle leader or my principal, and maybe this can contribute to an original way to meet the school vision. The second idea I have is, I'm framing this as leadership density, and this is this idea that leadership occurs throughout the school structure. So Professor Pan mentioned interaction, for example. Interactions is where we see leadership happening. So this maybe changes our thinking a little bit about the roles of, say, school principals. It's not just to make sure that we're accountable to the government, although we are in schools, but also it might be part of our job is to think about what do we do in our organization that can develop the leadership capacity of others. So that might mean giving other people an opportunity to lead something like a special project, but it might be thinking about how we structure opportunities to support people's leader development. So in some of the case study research I did, we found instances of, say, deputy principals who worked with teams of middle leaders and would mentor and coach them in certain leadership practices. So that might be, for example, how to run meetings that aren't just administrative, but are improvement-oriented, right? How to build teams so people can work together effectively. And then those middle leaders worked with their own teams to put those practices to use. We also found other examples, for instance, where the school principal said, look, I want to allocate resources to teachers who have good ideas. So maybe we can give them some time off. Maybe it's reduce their teaching load by one class so they can work with other people in the school to explore something like how do we implement assessment for learning, or how do we take an inquiry approach? And then those people later became the go-to specialists and were recognized for that expertise by peers. And so these are people then who can scan the horizon for new opportunities to enact the school vision and take appropriate action. So I think I've maybe summarized some of these points in what I've just said. So I won't reiterate it again, but they're there for you to look at later on if you wish. The third point is equity mindset. So I think what we need from our leaders throughout the organization is people who understand that diversity is an asset. So the fact that we have students from different community situations, whether it's from poverty or from different cultural backgrounds, if we can understand their perspectives, it can lead to new insights for us on how we can enact leadership in our organizations. And so I think this is a very important aspect as well. If we're really thinking about how do we address those future schools as a team, as a collective, and make them happen. And so I think we have these sorts of features if we bring an equity mindset to what we're doing. We're understanding inequity, developing strategies together to address it. That might mean supporting our teachers and our students differently, and it might mean becoming more integrated with the community and thinking of our schools as community centers, not just as, as places to learn a discipline. And the last point I want to make is the notion of boundary spanning, and again, Professor Pan had mentioned this earlier. I think if we're thinking about collective leadership, it involves recognizing that we as a school, as a whole, are working in different spaces. We're connecting with students and families, with community, maybe with other schools, maybe with non-system agencies like the presentation we just heard previously, where we have an example of public partnership, for example, and maybe it's how we connect with policies. But it's important to recognize that it might not always be the principal who's the best placed person to do this in our organizations. It could be that a teacher has a very extensive community network, and that can contribute to meeting the mission of the school. It could be that a specialist, for instance, in special educational needs, understands government policies and legislation really well and can advise the principal on how to adjust the organizational structure to meet those needs. So this is why I think this idea of collective leadership is really important. As we have this very dynamic, changing environment, we need everybody to really have some responsibility for making our schools a better place. So that's where I'll stop. Thanks.
Thank you very much. 10 minutes sharp. Thank you. So yeah, we have heard from Professor Bryant started giving us a new idea and concepts of collective leaderships in response to, as our keynote Professor Wendy has mentioned, the big terms, the keywords like relationals, as mentioned this morning. We have a word like related to community, agility, and interactions, and go beyond the boundaries. So we started with this kind of concepts and ideas of collective leadership, which is contrast to our traditional leadership. So thanks for a good start with this. And then next process, yes, please.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to this conference. It's really my great pleasure to join this conference and join this team of panelists. And my emphasis of talk will be on to foster collective leadership, what educational infrastructures we particularly need. And a lot of what I will talk actually echo what Professor Pan and Professor Bryant have already talked. So basically I will argue that collective leadership is not about single school. It is a kind of system-wide phenomenon because we do not want only make change in one single school. We want schools to get more collaborations, and teachers and leaders get more collaborations, and teachers and leaders are not only taking responsibility for their own school, for their own students, but for students of other schools. So it's a system-wide. And also I will illustrate this collective leadership with some examples from mainland China, and finally discuss, at least from the cases of mainland China, what are the infrastructures that we may need if we want to foster collective leadership. So what is collective leadership? I think it is, metaphorically, it's you do not want to be a lonely balloon. So you want to come together. You want to come together to pursue change. And that will be collective leadership. And why we need collective leadership? Because, yeah, principles important, but principles cannot make change isolatedly. And principles have to collaborate with others, and single schools cannot make change and isolatedly. So single schools also need to collaborate, and also we want leadership to be stretched over the interactions between leaders, between schools, between teachers. So again, I may use more of a practice approach, as Professor Peng has talked. So to have this collective leadership, it's not easy because we need it. We want to have these interactions among teachers, among leaders, but these interactions or the school networks, collaborations do not just happen naturally. We need to nurture them. We need to create conditions for them. And we need to have these infrastructures. So infrastructures will be able to help foster the interactions. So we need infrastructures that will be able to put schools together, that will be able to encourage schools to collaborate, encourage schools to become networks. Or we need to have some infrastructures to be able to have some teachers who can move across schools, who can help teachers, who can help to share resources across the schools, and all these what we call infrastructure. So infrastructure, it's a key challenge to design and deploy this kind of infrastructure. And that means we need to create some structures, create some roles, specific roles in the education system who can help to move across schools, who can help to share resources, and also extend those good practices across different schools. And all this will be able to, when we have these infrastructures, we will be able to enable those boundary spanners, boundary crossers, which two professors have talked a lot. So I will use 3 examples in China, but we do not have time, I know. So I will very briefly mention these 3 cases from China. And in these 3 cases, I can see the boundary spanners. Again, when I talk about collective leadership, I mentioned that, first of all, it involves collaboration. collaboration across schools, collaboration between teachers and leaders. And the second, that means we have shared responsibilities. So the leaders and teachers are not only responsibility, and leaders and administrators, they are not only responsible for their own students, they are responsible for students in a wider sense. So in these 3 cases, I can see boundary spanners, and so I can show how they are supposed, these red spots supposed to be able to move. I don't know why they cannot move right now. So we can see how they move across, how they can cross the boundaries. For example, in China now we have practices of putting schools into networks, into some consortium, into an education group. So different schools, they will share resources. They will, when one school have very good teacher learning practices, they will be able to share them with other schools. And when they have very good teachers, this good teacher will not be the asset of one single school. They will become asset of at least all the schools within this education group. And also we have some practices of naming some very successful teacher, outstanding teacher, as a master teacher. And we hope these teachers will lead some, what we call master teacher studios, that is a kind of professional learning community. So this teacher will lead a group of teachers and learn together. And we have different levels of master teacher studios. And in the second case, I will show that one master teacher can be, at the same time, a mentee of a province level master teacher studio, but also the mentor of district level master teacher studio. So this teacher will connect across, move across different boundaries and connect resources from the province level to the district level and work together with different groups of teachers, master teachers. And also in our system, we name some very successful teacher and we elevate them from schools and we put them into education offices and we give them titles like teaching research officers. And what's their role? Their role is to support subject-based teacher learning. And they will visit different classrooms, all the classrooms of teaching the same subject in this district. And they will also, again, carry on some good practices from one school to another school. So we can see there are different types of boundary spanners, and they are actually facilitated, enabled by various educational infrastructures. So to summarize some of the infrastructures, for example, we really need to, or we can see some, at least in these cases, we can see that some professional learning communities have been fostered as educational organizational routine. So like they will regularly meet together, they will regularly learn together, so it becomes a routine. And also the system invests heavily in teachers and leaders' professional learning. And we promote those models of collective inquiry. So they will really have this kind of professional learning communities, network professional learning communities. And we have some mechanisms for these leaders and expert teachers to network across schools. So schools and teachers are no longer learning within their school walls. So they can learn, they can network beyond their school walls, beyond their districts. And also we take some exceptionally skilled teachers out of their classroom, but we want them to influence more classrooms. So we appoint them to be with some special titles so they can express their influence and they will become leaders. They are a very important part of the collective leadership. That's all I share. I hope I'm not over time. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So now we more clearly about the concepts, the idea of the adjective collective, right? As we have heard from Professor Pang, the natures of collective is relational or interactions, and Professor Cheng has elaborated the ideas for inaction, or as Professor Pang has mentioned, the operational definition or operational concept of collective. You mentioned, now we have heard two metaphors, right? We have heard a jazz metaphor from Professor Pang, and we have heard the balloon balloon metaphors. So we have image here. And the new keyword has comes for inaction to clearly understand the meaning of collective. Thus, the infrastructures. I love this word because interaction it doesn't happen naturally. We have to setting the infrastructures. And the big keyword for setting the infrastructure at the school levels, as Prof. Pang mentioned, the school as learning community, we have heard these words. And we also have heard like school as professional learning community, and then we have heard like networking among the school and the school district. Thanks for elaborate. And then now we come a bit clearly the meaning of collective leader. So next, the principals, Scott, please. Yeah.
Sawadee Krap. Good morning.
Sawadee Krap.
It is a privilege to speak with you this morning about the topic of collaborative leadership, collective leadership. Where I come from in New Zealand, one of the first things we do whenever we are presenting to others is we share a little bit about ourselves. And I think that is really important given the context of collective leadership, because we must know where we all come from and the skills and the strengths that we each bring to our daily work in order to get the very best out of people. So my name is Scott Haines. I'm principal of Burnside High School in Canterbury, in Christchurch, New Zealand, which is the bottom in the South Island of New Zealand. I've led 3 schools now. I'm in year 16 of being a high school principal. Where I come from in New Zealand, when we are introducing ourselves, we share a little bit about our background, where we are from. I'm married to my wife Kelly. We have 3 daughters. I'm a keen outdoorsman, hunter, fisherman. These things we share because we get to know each other as people. But also, the more we know about each other in our workplace, the better the bond, the stronger the bond, and the easier the collective leadership. And so I share these things with you today quite deliberately. I've been asked this morning to speak a little about collective leadership being the key to success in future schooling, and to share with you some insights from New Zealand. And so with that in mind, I'm going to share 6 things today. I want to explore a little bit, as all of my colleagues have, around what is collective leadership, what I think it is. I'm going to share with you the New Zealand journey, because we've been on the journey from a very planned education system in New Zealand, very centralised system, to now a very devolved, highly collective system. I'm going to share with you what some of the drivers were for that, give you a little taste of what does a New Zealand school look like today. And then I'm going to try and share with you my summation of the things that are working well in the New Zealand system and the things that are still challenging us. So, strap in, let's go. What is collective leadership? Here are the 4 things that I think about when I think about collective leadership. So I'm a New Zealand secondary school principal, and I know that the goals and the vision that I have in my head must be shared by our senior leadership team. They must be shared by our teachers. They must be shared by our students. They must be shared by our parents. In order for us to make progress as a school, we must distribute those leadership roles. So everyone has a role to play in getting to the shared place of success. And in order to do that, there's got to be collaboration and decision making. So we bring teams together. We use words like senior leadership team, because we are a team, curriculum leadership team, pastoral team. These are teams of people who work together for the common good. And in order for teams to work together, there must be trust and there must be respect. And I think that's one of the key elements in collective leadership. So I mentioned to you earlier that New Zealand has been on a journey. Prior to 1989, we were a very traditional education system. Education occurred from the government, there was a New Zealand or state curriculum, national curriculum. All of the schools were managed by the Ministry of Education, and everything was very centralised and planned. And in 1989, they produced this report in yellow here, called the PICO report, and introduced some very, very radical education reform. And so today, as a result of that reform, we have a very different system, a system where it's not a traditional top-down system. It's a very devolved system where collective leadership is what we do every day. So I want to share with you why. Why did that happen? What were the drivers that took us from where we were in a centralised system to now this very devolved system that we're in today? Well, firstly, we wanted to reduce centralisation in decision making. So that has its place, doesn't it? Centralised decision making. But it doesn't allow for agile thinking. It doesn't allow for innovation. We wanted to increase accountability. There was not enough accountability in the previous system. We wanted to increase our educational outcomes. We were dropping down the rankings for PISA and other international assessments. We wanted to enhance community involvement. Our mums and dads in our communities, what were their aspirations? Delivering on their aspirations are really important. We wanted to reduce bureaucracy and improve efficiency and to grow flexibility. So they were the drivers for the Tomorrow Schools reforms. And if we look at today, well, what do New Zealand schools look like today? Well, we've decentralised the entire education system. So now the shift of power, the power balance has shifted from the government to individual school boards. So as a school principal, we have a lot more autonomy than we used to have. Schools are now self-managing in every respect, for the property, the staffing, the curriculum, the finances. Every aspect of education is now managed by the schools themselves. So that means that if every school is managing itself, then every school is highly differentiated. Every school is very different and unique. And it means that we can now promote local autonomy and local innovation. I was really interested to hear my colleague here talk about the emergence of schools working together in China, and that very same sense of collaboration is occurring in New Zealand schools. We call it kahoeako, which is a Māori term. Our indigenous people, the Māori, kahoeako is a professional learning community. So groups of schools working together for resourcing, for teacher development, for sharing good practice. That's the New Zealand context. So what does that look like in a New Zealand secondary school? Well, I think it looks like four things, and I shared these earlier. The shared vision and goals. So we get together every year and we talk about what do we want to, where are we going? What do we want to achieve? What does good look like? And we regularly stop and we reflect on that practice. There's distributed leadership in our schools in New Zealand. So our staff are empowered to look at a problem and to get a sense of, well, how can I contribute to the solving of this problem? Whether I'm a student, whether I'm a teacher, whether I'm a teacher aide, whether I'm a deputy principal, or whether I'm the principal. The students themselves are leaders too. So we have a student council in many schools. So the students elect a group of student leaders, and they work with the school administration. They work with us. I meet with my student council every week, and we talk about what's the student perspective of how things are going, what's working well for them, what's not working well, what do we need to do differently. And all of our decisions that we make collaboratively through a really inclusive process with the students, with the staff, with the parents. Everyone knows what the decisions are that we're making, and more importantly, I think they know why we're making those decisions. So when all of that stuff comes together, you get an environment like this. where the student is at the center of the decision-making process. The students are at the center of what we do. And one of the things that I keep saying as principal is, it's not about us. It's not about what I need. It's not about what our teachers need. It's about what our students need. That's really important. It creates a scenario where schools can develop their own culture. So at Burnside High School we have a specialist music program, and we're able to develop that culture. Every school will have a different sense of who they are. And that's really special. Every school has an opportunity to develop its own unique culture with students, the things that they stand for, what are the things that our students value. Every school has the opportunity to develop localised curriculum. So if you live by the beach, why not develop a curriculum that involves the beach and the water? If you live in the mountains, you'll likely have a curriculum that takes into account the geography of where you live. That wasn't possible before, but it is possible now. And we brought some fun back into the curriculum. So the national curriculum, the old curriculum, was very, very dry, very stale, very boring. Now with the schools are self-managing, we can bring a bit of fun into the curriculum. Schools also have the opportunity to, because we are self-managing, to manage ourselves. Schools are an organisation, they're like a business. So we can create local partnerships with students, with other schools, sister schools from around the world, and that's really valuable. Benefits of collaboration, so the benefits, the good and the bad. I think here are the positive things that I have seen. So schools are able now to self-manage. There is increased autonomy. So we're able to do the things that we like. But there's more flexibility and innovation too. The parents and the students are well engaged. There's more accountability. And most importantly, I think, the outcomes from the students, for the students are rising. What are the senses of challenges though? Because nothing is perfect, is it? There are some challenges. There are some equity issues. Because schools are self-managing, some schools are doing that really well and other schools are struggling a little. The workload for principals has gone up because, of course, now there is so much more to do. There are some governance challenges. So schools are governed by boards of trustees, and some boards, of course, are stronger than others. That has led to a little bit more variation in the education provision. And, of course, there are some strains on teacher supply. So they are that's a very quick sprint through what collective leadership looks like in New Zealand, and I thank you. Ka.
Thank you, Principal Scott, for giving us an idea how. Now we come to the how to. Right? We have heard the how to implement the ideas or the concepts of collective leadership in school, in the context of New Zealand. We have heard how we're moving from the macro levels of the centralized to decentralized, so that we can give an autonomy to the school level. Right? And you have mentioned, I have heard, like we try to build up such a culture at the school levels. If we have like autonomy, so then we create some innovation, as you mentioned. And I have heard some critical aspects you mentioned about trust as a part of the school cultures. So I think this is the way we implement the how-tos at the school level. Thanks, Principal Scott. And our last panelist, please be relaxed. Teachers, Ratnawati, we will give a more elaborate about how to the ideas of collective leadership in the schools in the context of Brunei Darussalam. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning everyone. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizer of this prestigious international forum for inviting me to be a panelist on such a vital topic on collective leadership for the future successful schooling. So today I'm going to focus more on our special education in Brunei Darussalam. Okay, today I'm excited actually, but a bit nervous to discuss our current roles as teacher educators, particularly focusing on students with special needs and how we practice collective leadership in our school. Throughout this presentation, also I will also highlight how our esteemed headmistress, Madam Hajah Norafa, has been a pivotal figures in driving this initiative forward. So at our institution, we firmly believe that the key to successful schooling system lies in collaboration. We have implemented a collective leadership model that involves teachers, administrators, parents, and even students. So this inclusive approach ensures that every voice is heard and every stakeholder plays an active role in the decision-making process. So in our journey, has not been without challenges. So, but by working together, we have been able to create a nurturing and effective learning environment for our special needs students. So this collaborative effort has been instrumental in our recognition as one of the successful schools in our country. No. Yes, again, part one. Okay. In this part, in this first part of our presentation, we will lay the groundwork by delving into the concept of collective leadership. We will start by understanding what collective leadership is and why it is crucial for future of education, especially for students with special needs. So next, we will discuss the 7 key competencies of collective leadership. I think Mr. Scott has mentioned some of my key points in these 7 competencies. So finally, we will examine the roles and responsibilities of collective leadership members in the context of special education, and we will highlight how these roles and responsibilities come together to support and enhance the educational experience for students with special needs. Okay. In my second part of my presentation, if we have enough time, we will focus on my school, that is Qian Primary School, as a case study to illustrate the real-world application of collective leadership. Okay. Following this, we will delve into 5 positive impacts of collective leadership on student improvement. Again, I will highlight our school headmistress insight that ties everything together. So for this introduction, as you can see, according to Spillen, Halverson, and Diamond in 2001, collective leadership is based on the principle that leadership responsibility should not rest on a single individual, but should be shared of effort involving administrators, parents, teachers, and even students. So this approach aligns with the distributed leadership theory, which underscores the value of collective decision-making and shared accountability. Okay, this one, in alignment with our headmistress' vision on collective leadership, in the context of our school system, she emphasized that collective leadership provides opportunities for emerging leaders by fostering an environment where multiple individuals can take on leadership roles and responsibilities. This approach creates diverse leadership pathways and encouraging potential leaders to develop their skill and contribute to the school goals. So this is my interview with my headmistress. Okay. It's shared by Mr. Scott just now. So according to Harris and De Flemis in 2016, a shared vision and common goals among all stakeholders are essential for fostering an inclusive school culture. I will show you, give you some example from our school context. At our school, we take these principles to heart. Our vision, mission, and mottos are not just words on paper. So they are integral to our daily operation and community interaction. So let me give you or share with you some example on how we embody this shared vision. Firstly, our school vision, mission and motto are well communicated to all teachers, staff, and students. We have ensured that these statements are framed and displayed prominently throughout the school. So it's making them easy to see and remember. Okay? This constant visibility helps reinforce our collective commitment to our goals. Additionally, we have a school song that was created by one of the teacher and dedicated teams. So these songs expresses our values and aspiration, and singing it together foster a sense of unity and belonging amongst members of our school community. Number 2. In the context of special education, distributed leadership involves sharing responsibilities among various stakeholders. So school-based team is the excellent example of distributed disabilities in special education. According to Spillane and Diamond in their work, Distributed Leadership in Practice in 2007, highlighted that collective decision-making involves multiple stakeholders working together to make decisions. So this collaborative approach can significantly enhance the quality of decision across various areas such as curriculum designing, timetabling, grouping the student, and setting the priority level of the student, student intervention, and even a school program. In these key competencies, training programs focus on inclusive practices, differentiated instruction, and the use of assistive technology are particularly valuable. So, for example, in our school, we hold weekly professional development session, in-house training, workshop for teachers and parents, sharing session, showcases, and awareness talks and exhibition. So, insight from our school headmistress regarding professional development, she has shared with us some invaluable insight as we continue to advance in our educational journey. First and foremost, she emphasized the importance of enhancing of 21st century skill, ensuring that we are aligned with current trends and prepared for challenges of the future. Moreover, she underscores the sense of blended learning, which is a current trend in Brunei, particularly in how we can effectively integrate digital resources into our teaching to better support our students with special needs. And lastly, we highlight the critical needs for a deep understanding of our student behavior. By gaining this knowledge, we can tailor our teaching method to better address their unique challenges and foster a more inclusive and supportive learning environment.
Thank you. Okay. Well, you have used 10
Maybe I want to conclude my
okay.
Yeah, okay. Actually, there is a lot more to share, but I want to conclude my presentation today. The impact of collective leadership in our school is profound, and much of this success is due to the visionary guidance of our school headmistress. So by aligning our effort with her principal, we have created an environment where both students and teachers can excel. I apologize for any shortcomings in my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sorry for shorten your time. Yeah, we have only 10 minutes, and then you elaborate the ideas of, again, how to, in the case study of the Brunei Darussalam context. You have heard about the shared vision and goal, and distributed responsibility, and collective decision making, and also professional development. I think these components, yeah, or you call the key competency of collective leadership, how this component can be, built up in the schools level is very challenging for the idea we have heard from the 4 panelists. I would try to use the frameworks of the 3 big questions for that the 3 of us can discuss what we have heard, what the meanings, what collective leadership, and a little bit more about why we need it for the success of the futures of our schooling system. And last, how? You elaborate somehow, but okay, we will give you like 5 minutes is for further discussion according to this guidance question or framework. Okay, you will start first.
I think as a teacher, we need collective leadership in our school so that we can, shade our goals and school goals, and we can, receive ideas from other teachers and other administrators or from the parents and even from the student for the effective effective programs that we run. So it's very important, and it's well recommended if we do that collective leadership in our school for school improvement.
Okay, maybe I'll just focus on the third question, which is implementing collective leadership in school. And there have been a couple of keywords that have come up repeatedly. One is interaction, and the other is infrastructure. And to me, these are really key. And so, in my view, if we're wanting to move towards collective leadership, and I'll just focus on the school level, I think we need school leaders to be perceptive about what sorts of interactions do we want to foster, what sorts of discussions do we need to have amongst our staff that will help to generate ideas about say how to accomplish the vision or the goals that the school has set. It's in these sorts of discussions and interactions that ideas are generated and that we can help each other in building our capacity, to take action. I've just been involved in a recent project where we were working with a school principal to support the middle leaders in developing skills for planning and implementing school improvement plans. And what we realized is they needed help on areas like teamwork, and how do we work with peers across the school so we're not just isolated. And something that we did to try to not exactly measure but get a sense of was there change happening is this was over 2 years. At the beginning of the 2 years, we asked the teachers, who do you seek advice from about this school improvement initiative, which was lesson study? And everybody was quite isolated. So, in fact, the senior leaders only spoke to each other, and the tiers of middle leaders spoke to each other, and teachers were maybe speaking to their subject head, and that was it. So we worked really hard to put in the infrastructure in place to establish routines and teams and structures so people could work across teams. And it was interesting, by the end of the 2 years, we did the same questionnaire, and we found that middle leaders had now become the pivot point in this discussion. So principals were seeing middle leaders as points of consultation, as were teachers. And we saw a huge increase in teachers consulting each other, like a 2,000% increase. So interactions started to happen by shaping the infrastructure a little bit. So that's what I would say.
I may emphasize on the role of expert teachers. I think that's what I observe as something that is quite distinctive. For example, like in Hong Kong, for expert teachers, if you really want to pursue outstanding teaching, there is no pathway for these teachers to purely focus on improving teaching. So they have to do some administrative work. They have to become a middle leader, have a middle leader title. But in the mainland Chinese system, there is a pathway for expert teachers who really enjoy learning and who want to pursue expert learning and who want to sort of like extend their learning with other peers. So I think that's, in a sense, that's this structure is important because we give these expert teachers time, and also we give them recognition, and they can really take leadership responsibilities, and they will be able to lead regular, what we call routinized teacher learning. So the model can be still quite simple, as Professor has said, shared. It's still like collective lesson planning, peer observation, and feedback. But in this way, they can really model how to improve teaching, how to demonstrate teaching to others. And also, as those cases I've shared, there is also a system for these expert teachers, not only influence teachers in their schools, but also influence teachers in other schools, because we will give them some special titles so they can lead a professional learning community, and all the members are intentionally selected from different schools. So all these leadership expertise and teaching expertise can be shared across schools. So I think in this sense, leadership is no longer concentrated on the school principals, and we have really mobilized the role of expert teachers so they can become leaders, and they share a lot of leadership responsibilities with other system leaders. Yeah, that's what I want to share.
Thank you. Yes.
Very good.
Scott?
I'd like to share some thoughts around the why and the how. Firstly, the why. We've spent a lot of time today talking about the what, but the why. I think as a principal myself, I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. And we'll be sitting next to others who know what we don't, but they don't know what they don't know. So when we come together and we leverage the power of the collective, that is what collective leadership looks like. That's the why. It's not a 1 + 1 = 2 scenario, but it's a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. Because when we leverage the power of the collective, we get a result that is greater than the sum of the parts. One of the people I bumped into on the plane on the way over here is a neurosurgeon. He works with the brain. Very, very clever person. And he said to me, my knowledge as a neurosurgeon is about on par with what ChatGPT knows about neuroscience. He said, so that's good. But then he said, but ChatGPT also knows what what a subject matter expert would know about astronomy, about pick another topic. That is, that AI is collective leadership, isn't it? It's collective understanding about what we know as a species. It's our collective knowledge. So that's the why, and I think it's really important. The how is what I spend all of my day job doing, really, is trying to lead collectively. And I want to share just one example with you of how I did that very recently. We have a national curriculum in New Zealand, but we have every school has a local curriculum. So the things that we want to teach locally. And we reviewed that curriculum recently. So I initiated the review. I brought a team together consisting of teachers who expressed an interest, students, parents, community members, and said, right, here it gave them a terms of reference, gave them a framework, but they themselves undertook that review. And the scary part for me as a principal is I needed to trust them, number one, trust that they would engage with that process without an agenda and in good faith and in the best interests of everyone. And B, I had to give away the power, the authority to make the decision at the end. And so I had no idea what that curriculum review result would look like, but what I had to trust was the people and the process. And the outcome was much better, worlds better than what I could have achieved alone as a principal, because I put my faith and my confidence in the people and the process. And that's what I think collective leadership is.
Thanks. I think now we have come more clearly understand the ideas of collective leadership to the what and whys and hows. And why, I think the Professor Fang Keynote has mentioned another keyword. When we try to link this idea with learning, with like student learning, I think this is more important when we try to unpack the complexity of the classroom, the new infrastructure like school as learning community or school as professional learning community. I have experience to transform a Japanese lesson study into Thailand for the last 25 years. And the more challenging is when we start from the bottom-up idea, as shown in this slide, we create multi-layers of the idea of learning community. So what the foundations of the professional learning community or school-based school as learning community, and the idea to sustain this new infrastructure at the school, I would like to hear from each panelist. I think it's the most challenging we try to link, as Professor mentioned, links the idea of collective leadership to learning, either student learning as our ultimate goals, the 21st century skills, or transformative competency as mentioned in the OECD paper. And also, the more important in this era is teacher learning. How this linked to the what we have been engaging in this, as Scott mentioned, in digital era. So can you more elaborate, like 2 or 3 minutes by each, so that the audience can have a more picture about futures? Because we say this collective leading is the key to success of future schooling. But the future schooling has been embedded in the digital era already. So how we can link this idea to Teacher Ratnawati, can you? Okay.
Maybe collective leadership is not just a strategy.
Sure.
It's a commitment for all members of the schools to make it happen. So I think by uniting our shared goals and strength, sharing responsibilities and collaborating effectively, we can ensure that these goals or the student has the opportunity to excel in their education.
I like that point about a shared commitment. That's really great.
Yes.
And I'm thinking if we're linking the notion of teacher learning and student learning, I mean, clearly creating improved outcomes for our students, whether it's academic outcomes or other sorts of outcomes, just being happy, right? Or being a good person. These are important things in education too. But I think, you know, this is another case where trust in teachers is really important. Teachers have lots of intuitive knowledge and insight, and can usually identify a problem of practice or an area that needs improvement in the school, whether it's something like just how do we engage students better, or how do we improve attendance, for example. And I think then the collective leadership comes into, well, how do we as a team understand this, study it, develop an approach that might lead to a better outcome for students, try it, see if it works, can we adjust it, do something different, make it work better? This is, I think, an integration of professional learning and strategies, approaches to improve student outcomes. So,
thank you, Professor Qian.
Yeah, and I think professional learning and teacher learning needs to have substance, so they really can see, teachers say when they work together, they can see really they can see the improvement. But also another very key condition is they need to have that good relationship, that the trust we have kept mentioning that. So, but this relationship really depends on, or in other words, we need to have this kind of learning culture. And the culture, like for professional learning, we need teachers to deprivatize their teaching. And it can be a challenge. And how can you foster that culture of deprivatized teaching, and also teachers would like to give each other feedbacks, and also in this process they can see this improvement. So we need to have substance, but also we need to have that trusting relationship, the culture. Yeah.
Thanks.
I just want to build on the comments made by my my panelists who spoke just prior. All of those things are absolutely valid. I think the thing that I would add is that structure is really important. It's all well and good to talk about collective leadership, to talk about how we're going to work well together, but if we don't know the how we're going to do that, and we don't have the framework for doing that, then in my experience, that is sometimes where things can get a little stuck. I'd like to introduce you to my 3 R's. We heard about the 3 R's this morning, reading, writing and arithmetic. So the 3 R's that we use in New Zealand schools when we're talking about collective leadership, firstly we look at the results. What are the results that we're wanting to look at? Whether it's student achievement results, whether it's attendance results, whatever it is. And we collectively look at those results because each of us will see something different in those results. So that's the first R, results. Second R that we look at is we explore the reasons for those results. So we start to look at, as a collective, okay, well, why did that happen? If the results, the achievement results aren't what we expected them to be, why is that? What happened? And we get a student's perspective and a teacher's perspective and an administrator's perspective, parents' perspectives, and we feed all of that in so that we have a collective understanding about, well, what were the reasons for the results that we're looking at? There's your second R. And then the third R is our response, our collective response. So we know what the results are, we've unpacked what the reasons for those results are, and now we need to collectively respond to look at, well, okay, where to from here? How can we move those results from where they are to where they need to be? So those 3 R, that 3 R framework we use a lot, both formally and informally, in our schools in New Zealand.
Thanks. So now I think we have more clearly pictures or landscape when we try to think about collective leadership. Thanks for Teacher Ratnawati who give the big keyword. It's not a strategy, it's not a technique, but in order to build up the culture, the collective leaders' cultures, we need the commitment, we need the trust. Most invisible factor and component of this is very important. In the digital era, we shouldn't, in the trap of only technology, but build up on these 2 important components. I think it's the collective meanings is go beyond collaborative. It now become, to me, I'm sensed that all panelists try to bring us to convey to the meaning of partnership. It is go beyond a single collaboration. And as I have heard, as a part of a community, we as individuals has to have a commitment, a trust to the growth of the community, the professional learning community, the school as learning community. I think that the important part that our keynote has mentioned this morning is very important. So I think I had reminded we have only 10 minutes. So we received the question from the floor to join us in this panel discussion. I got one question from the floor, so we will give to the 4 panelists. For school in rural area or hardship area, which are facing with lacks of infrastructure, and how would school administrators make use of collective leadership to enhance school quality? Who can respond? Anyone can respond? So, okay, Professor Qian, thanks.
Yeah, I can share some examples in China, because when we form schools into clusters, into networks, one major purpose is to close the gaps between schools. It is also a kind of equity initiative. We understand that some schools are in more disadvantaged situations, so they usually they lack quality teacher resources, and they do not. So I think most, at least in the case of China, what they lack most is the software. It's not necessarily hardware. They have now relatively good school facilities, but they do not have quality teachers, and their teacher learning activities may also not be well organized. So when schools are put together, I think the one intentional design is to make sure that in this school cluster, there are some high-performing schools, but also low-performing schools. And some of these kind of school clusters, they intentionally they name as, so they may put this this high-performing school as a leader in this school cluster. So if there is a school, ABC is a leading school, they call it School ABC Education Group. And in this way, this leading school, sometimes in this leading school, will be even commissioned by the government. So you have a responsibility of trying to improve the other schools in this cluster within 3 or 5 years. And can you try to use some of your strategies? And I think there are some common strategies have been always share those good teacher learning resources. So teachers within this cluster can be mobilized. So good quality teachers in this leading school can they are asked to shift to these lower performing schools to work for like 1 year or 1 semester. Or all these teachers in these low performing schools can also move to high performing schools to have some joint teacher learning, professional learning activities. And also sometimes this leading school may even send a team of leaders, maybe like some vice principals or middle leaders to these low performing schools to stay for like longer years, like 2 or 3 years. So in this way, they try to, I think some cases we can see is that they can gradually shape or reshape the culture of this low performing school, and to give the teachers more urgency of trying to improve, and also they have access to more quality teacher learning resources. So in this way to have some improved infrastructures. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Do you want to add up there?
Sure. I think that challenge, that sense of challenge, sometimes is the best motivator for change, isn't it? There's that saying, isn't there, that says nothing grows in the comfort zone. So when you are comfortable, when your school is comfortable, when your results are okay, when your infrastructure is fine, probably the thing that guides you is inertia, right? Keeping it like that. But the question from the panelists, how might we use collaboration and collaborative leadership when we are struggling with infrastructure, or where we're in a deficit situation? It has taken me some time, but I try to turn that negative of being in a deficit situation with infrastructure or results or whatever, to look at it in a positive way, to say, actually, this is the motivation for us to bring the power of the collective together, to dwell on this problem, to interrogate that problem and to find the solution. And so when I think about some of the most powerful changes that the New Zealand education system has seen, it's been as a result of a problem to solve, not as a result of something already going well. So I just want to share that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. The two of us, would you like to add something? Yeah.
Maybe from my experience as a special education needs teacher, our big challenges is the ratio for the teacher and the student with special needs are, is very, very crucial. Yes, crucial. But actually, in my school, in my center, in our center, we have 59 students with special needs, with 39 students with autism, 8 students with Down syndrome, and there are, multi difficulties of students to be catered. So by using our collective leadership in our center, we usually discuss how to make this student in a grouping according to the priority level. So we are focusing on their what's determine their needs actually. So we based on this their priority level to group their students so that we can help where needed. So every one of us are responsible to to help and to give support to the student wherever needed.
Yes. So I think you can give the last word.
Yeah, that's a really challenging question. And especially when you're talking about rural and remote areas that could have high needs. I can only think of a couple of examples that I think that does come back to collective leadership. And one is the use of community networks and resources. And so, again, it'll depend on the community you're in, but I can think of schools that have identified a real specific problem, such as our students are poor, they don't have the same opportunity as students from wealthy communities. What can we do? Well, maybe we can come up with one new pedagogical practice that can help them. Or maybe we can find opportunities for them to serve in the community so that we can teach them that they have agency and that they have power, even though they're poor. And I've seen some schools that have been very impactful. And then that draws attention to the school. They end up with more community resources and networks, excuse me, and in some cases receive donations, I've seen that actually happen. But it takes, again, that collective commitment and that sense of what's one thing that we can do? Maybe we can't do all things, but maybe we can do one thing, right? Yeah.
The focus, right? We have to focus. So I think we come to the last minute already, so I will give you each 1 minute to say anyone you want to say, for each of you. 1 minute to the audience, please.
Thank you. I just want to spend my minute to thank each of you for being here today. I want to thank the conference organisers for the very kind invitation to come here. This is important work, isn't it? And the fact that we are all here together talking about collective leadership. There's collectivism right here, isn't there? And this is, I keep thinking, my job as a principal, and I'm talking, just please raise your hand if you are a principal. Principal in a school, raise your hand for me. Perfect.
Yeah,
so we are in a calling, I think, not a job. We do what we do because it's our mission, I think, to support our students, to make our students' lives better, and to try and leave our planet in a better condition than what it was when we found it. So I think the power of the collective is what will get us there. And I thank you for today.
Yeah, thank you, Professor James.
I really appreciate that you select this theme, collective leadership. Although collective leadership, yes, has similarities with distributed leadership, but I think collective leadership also has something which seemed to me quite unique to Asia. So we think collective leadership is, at least for the Chinese culture, it's quite congruent with Chinese culture. We emphasize collectivism, we emphasize collective responsibilities, and I guess it's the same or it's similar in Thailand. So I also look forward to see how collective leadership is further fostered and implemented in Thai context. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, Professor. Yeah, Mr. Bryant.
Yeah, I also just would like to thank you for the invitation, the organizers, and you for being here today. I feel that it's such an honor and a privilege to be able just to share some simple ideas that I've been learning from my research. And I really hope to have the opportunity to learn more about the Thai context and what leadership is like in the Thai societal culture. I think we're all from different places, and you know what works here might look a little differently, and I hope I have the chance to interact with some of you to learn about that. So thank you again.
Yes. Teacher Ratnawati.
I just want to invite everybody, let's work together to work collectively, because the success of our students depend on the strength of our teamwork.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Okay, the last was, yeah. Please applause to all of our panelists. And we can link the idea from our keynotes and the research report, Dr. Nanthaporn, and then the idea had been elaborated with 4 of our panelists. I don't want to keep you for lunch, and then thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Maitri, our moderator, and our panelists for a great talks. And I believe that we will have an interesting discussion afterwards, maybe in our lunch table. So without the support and a great collaboration, we would like to mention on behalf of the OTEPC organizing team, I would like to mention to our great partners, Starfish Education and ALTV for supporting us. And yes, we are now leaving with the last session of the panel discussion. At this point, I would like to invite everyone to join our lunch break at the ballroom next door, and we will come back here at 1:40 for the afternoon session. And let's hear from our invited speakers for a presentation on the role of collective leadership in supporting educational reformation for the 21st century education. Please enjoy your lunch and see you in the afternoon session. Later on, I would like to announce for the certificates. So for our on-site participants, we are providing you the electronic certificate afterwards. So please stay with us until the end of our session.ขออนุญาตนะครับประชาสัมพันธ์นะครับสำหรับอาหารเที่ยงของเรานะครับถูกจัดไว้ที่ห้องประชุมห้องด้านข้างนะครับห้องบอลรูมด้านข้าง